Okay. Okay, that's great. Before I start the session, just wanted to inform that as I mentioned, this is a repeat session of Friday. We have our website of the battleground is live now. We made some changes. We launched a very small first version. The main version will be launched next month only. But if you go to this website now, the website is live. Battleground.datasensei.com. Right now, we have just put a very small basic front end. The main front end will be different from this. So if you click on this start coding now, uh, so what will happen? You will see a lot of. If someone wants to try right now, like I can send a link maybe. Okay. Don't every. Okay. So you will see a lot of challenges like Python easy, Python medium. Then you will have different. So this is a 10-minute challenge, 20-minute, 30-minute, 30-minute, and then you will have same for SQL as well. Okay. Right now we have only added that feature in which you can compete with your friend. Right now you cannot compete with random people, though that feature will be added once the website is live next month. So is anyone who would just want to just have a okay, anyways, I will show the testing right now here only. For example, did someone ask anything? Okay. So what will happen that let's say this is easy. I choose this one, SQL easy. Okay. So when I start the challenge, I will just simply write down my name. For example, let's say write down Satvik, MySQL. I'll select, you can select the timeline. Let's say I want a 5-minute challenge, 10-minute challenge, whatever challenge you want. Let's say I choose a 10-minute challenge. And let's say I want an easy question and I will create a new challenge. Okay. Now what will happen? This will create a new game ID. You can challenge your friend if you just select. So the people who have actually practiced or enrolled on website, you will see their list here. So you can just simply select their name and you can send them an email, or you can simply send them this game ID. Okay. Now when that other person, what has to do, he simply has to go to the website and suppose he also opens that challenge. Let's say SQL easy. Okay. And let's say he enters ABC, his name. Okay. And MySQL 10 minutes, and he just enters that game code that we shared here. Let's say so game copy, and I just enter that. Okay. So click join challenge, and if you see this challenge will start, and one will be a challenger, one will be a defender, and you will have time limit. Same things will be there. You can change, for example, light to dark as per your and you can go full screen like this. This is the question. Let's say concatenate username and user location. So let's say this is the first screen which I am having one friend, and this is the screen which will other person will. So they both will be having the same screen, of course. Like one will be having this, one will be having for this. So let's say I code from this. So the question says concatenate user name and user location into a single column. Can you tell me the query for this? User name and user location. What is our user location into a single column? So what is user location? Where is your user location? This table contains. Okay. So how can I can concatenate them? Can someone tell me?
Using concat function.
So what should I write here? Select
Concat
concat
username, comma,
user name, comma. So what is the output?
what's the
Username, comma. Uh, so username. Let's have username, comma concat username and
okay, user location?
where is user location?
Comma, you have to give a space.
This one, right?
No, in the middle there should be a space, right?
Here.
Yeah.
So
Add a space.
this one you mean?
Yeah.
Single is
Single
okay.
quote. Single
Single
quote
quote is okay.
space. A space. Give a space there. Yeah. As
Let's say okay. From social hub underscore comments. Let's say this is the query, okay, which we have written. We want to generate this. We want to bracket, I think, maybe. So
yes.
unknown column username in the field list. So okay, it's user
User
underscore.
underscore name. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, user underscore name.
And you need to add the spaces, parentheses.
I got this output, but this is not
Yeah.
the.
Yeah.
So how
So
can
you
I
need
add
to,
those brackets?
yeah. So before, after the space, one parenthesis.
So let's say this is
Oh,
first space.
yeah. You can add. No, not after user location.
For user location, I will add this, right?
Yes.
Am I right? Let's check. So I got this. So let's say this is the first person who's writing. Now see, time is 5 minutes only. Now I will try to submit it. So I submitted before the other person, right? So I won the match, and other person, like, he lost, and I will get. So basically, everyone will be having some points on this website. Like, you have to maintain those. Like, you have to try to win those points. Other people can come to your profile. They can challenge you. They can, maybe, you have to defend those challenges, right? And there will be a lot of such puzzles, like competition. It will be a proper. You can think of like. It's your village which you have to defend. You have to gain as many points as you can do, right? And more competition challenges, features will be added. Right now this is just a testing thing. So the website is live. Once you you can start testing, challenge with your friends, right? And see if you can compete and see if it is helping you, and let me know if some issue comes in, right? So the website is live now. We just made it live couple of hours back. So yeah, just wanted to inform you guys. I haven't launched in public yet, so just you guys please try that and let me know feedback. Right. This is not the main website because it will be there will be a lot of features, but we just wanted to test this feature first. That if you are having proper competition, you are able to win or lose in the time, right? Because once that is done, the remaining part will be easy for us to implement. Okay. So just wanted to inform this. Yeah. Anyone, any question? Yeah, so other person is me only because I opened those websites in two separate links, right? So what will happen? You will open one in your tab and you will ask your other friend to join from his other laptop, right? Right now, I just tried to show you how those inter. So DataSense will have only one website, actually datasense.ai.com. Right now, the website is closed, it's not there. So it will have different features. The first feature is practice.datasense.ai.com. The second feature is battleground.datasense.ai.com. These two will be live. We will be adding more features, like we'll be adding a projects.datasense.ai.com. We'll also be adding a courses.datasense.ai.com. So different. They will fall under the domain datasense.ai.com. So yeah, yeah, you can try. The website is live now. You can try with your friends. The more competition will be added next month, but right now just this feature you can test it out and let me know if you guys have any feedback, any comment. Okay.
Bro, same questions will be there. Like
But
whichever the
two people will obviously they will have same question, right?
no, I'm asking like under the practice website is there, right? That one.
So in future the question set will be different. Right now they might be same. So they might be picked randomly from the question set in the practice website. But in future, the practice set, the question set of battleground and practice will be different. Is it clear?
Ah, yes, bro.
Okay.
Satvik, how will the other person get to know? Like, will they get an email? Like,
Yeah, so they will get to an email, or and you can basically you can send them personally as well, and they'll get to the email as well. So there are two things. If you're challenging your friend, of course you will send him personally as well, or you can send an email will go.
okay,
Otherwise, if you have played games like
those
PUBG or
those
maybe
who are
chess or
active.
something.
Mm,
Sorry.
no, those people who are active. Otherwise,
Yeah. So what will happen
right
in
now.
the people who are, see, there are
Uh,
two things. People who are live,
yeah.
on, you will be randomly matched with anyone.
Okay.
Okay, that you when people need to be at your level. For example, so it will be a smart matching that for example, let's say there is skill up to 0 to 10, and let's say right now you're sitting at skill 6. You will be matched with someone 5 or 7 only. You will not be matched with 8, 9, 10.
Okay.
Or even if you're matched with 8, 9, 10, if you beat someone who is at 8, 9, or 10, let's say significantly above you,
Mm,
you will get more points, and that person will lose more points, right? If someone of very less level beats you, then you lose more points. Okay, but generally, only the person who are at your level will be able to challenge you. In future we will see if we can add more features where you can challenge everyone, but let's see. We want this to be an incremental growth, that's why. So,
okay.
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 So please test out this feature, try and compete with your friends. Let me know how it goes. And main website will be live next month. But right now this is just the feature. So yeah. Anyways, let's start the session. This is just I wanted to inform. I'll just paste the website name battleground.datasensei.com. Okay. So as I mentioned, this is going to be a repeat class of Friday. If someone who has already attended that yesterday properly, please feel free to skip. You might feel repetitive things. Okay. So we are going to start discussing performance tuning. Okay. So what is the meaning of performance tuning? Can someone tell, or what they think it could be? What could be performance tuning?
Give the correct results in a short time or something, or in an optimal time.
Okay. So what do you think? What all parameters do you think could affect the? So technically, performance tuning means how you can run an optimized query. Okay. What is the meaning of optimized query? That it consumes least resources, means least CPU time, least CPU memory, basically. Okay. And second, it takes least time. So basically the meaning of a an optimized SQL query is that any SQL query that takes the least CPU memory, and any query that takes the least time to run, that is an optimized query. Now this particular thing is relatively in order. For example, uh, let's say if you have written a very big query, it might take for example 2 minutes to run, but that might be an efficient query because there is no better way to run that query. Okay, so it's a very relative thing, but we will see. So what do you think could be the factors that can affect the runtime of maybe of a SQL query, which can affect the CPU memory that it is taking, or the timing that that query is going to take to run? So can you think and tell me what could be the possible things in a SQL query? Guys, tell me what could be the possible what you think could be the
I'm not sure, but I'm just guessing. Maybe the length
Time
of the
component.
query or number of joins or the
someone said
subqueries.
length of the query. Okay, we'll listen.
Timing.
तो टाइमिंग तो हमें ऑलरेडी कम करनी है ना, तो टाइमिंग तो पैरामीटर है ही. So what affects timing in a SQL query?
Filters.
Filters. Okay.
And number of columns to it.
Joins, number of joins, how many joins you're performing,
Number of
or
rows in
like
table.
Can we say tables also?
That come in number of joins.
Okay.
Okay. What else?
Errors maybe.
Error has nothing to do with the CPU memory.
Okay.
Technically, these are these only basically. So length of query does not play any role. It does not. Length does not mean anything. Okay. Length you can write as many big query as you want. It has least effect on your main thing is the filters that you're using. Of course, the number of rows. These two are the biggest thing. Okay. And number of joins, they can play a role. So I will say these are the major factors that basically how many rows you are fetching now. But thing is that take for this example, you're using two tables of 100 rows, 100 rows. Okay, so their number of rows become irrelevant because anyways you are pi- picking the same number of rows in both cases. But how can you write it? Like in one case it will be an optimized SQL query, one case it will not be an optimized SQL query. So what could be the reason? Comes filters. This plays a very big role. Number of joins that is happening in your table play also a good role. Another thing which play a role is, for example, when you use uh, let's say window functions versus let's say subquery, or you say CTE versus subquery, something like that. What happens, the more subquery you write, okay, the more number of times you execute table in that particular query. So usage of lot of subqueries also reduce the performance time. Okay. So in short, if I look at a very basic layman level, what is impact is the number of column that I'm selecting and the number of filters that I'm basically putting. That is something going to affect my query, runtime of my query. Okay, so there are a few methods which we can do to optimize our SQL query. Uh, we are going to discuss four of them. The first method is indexing. Okay. The second method is stored procedure. Stored procedure. Third is, it is not a optimization technique, but that is also you should know. It is called SQL injection. Fourth is triggers. Of course, there can be more performance tuning parameter things as well, but for us, for the scope of a data analyst and a basic data engineer, or I think these four are more than enough. You don't need to go in much deep depth. People who are preparing for database roles, like let's say proper SQL developer roles, they might need to go dig in a little bit more, but that's fine. That's not in the scope of this particular course. Okay. So we will study about indexing and stored procedure today. SQL injection and triggers we will study next class. We were supposed to have them right now today, but I'm postponing them to next class. Okay. So let's study about indexing. Okay. So SQL indexing. So before I explain what is the meaning of indexing, what indexing does, how does SQL indexing actually reduce your the runtime of your code, or basically reduce the memory that your code is taking? Let us try to understand first of all that how does a SQL query run. Okay, because that is very important for us. So suppose I run a simple SQL query that select star from, let's call a table, where, let's say, filter 1 is equal to, let's call it 10. Okay, let's say this is my query. Now how does this execute in a SQL? How is this code going to execute in your basically, let's say filter 1 is id, where id is equal to 10. Okay, so tell me, how is this code going to execute on your database or table, whatever you are using? Guys, I'm taking this class second time, so please make sure you participate. Yeah.
It will search
ID.
Robero.
Okay.
The first the where clause, the filter will be applied, and at the last the select will be done. So
So
here only once.
so what is going to happen is that, let's say this is your table. Okay. So just give me a second. Okay. So how is it going to work? We talked about the query that select star from table, let's say, where I say book ID equal to 23, for example. So technically what will be happening? We will filter out this particular row, right? The row 23. So how is it going to work? First, let's understand this. That remember I told SQL runs row by row. Okay. So first of all, it will go to the row 1. It will check, is this book ID equal to 23? Yes or no?
No.
It will skip. So it will say no, this is not selected. Now next row, is it 23? No. Is it 23? No. It will keep on getting no, 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 no till this particular point. And once it comes to 23, it will get a yes, right? So once it gets a yes, this row will be selected. And again after that, it will be no, no. Okay. Now suppose to execute each row, it takes 1 second. So in how many seconds will it be able to run this particular query?
23 times.
25. These rows also have to run, right?
Why? I mean, it get the 23rd rows, which
What if there are what if there are 223 in your SQL databases? Check तो पूरा करेगा ना? When how does it happen?
Because distinct is not used, so it will run on. Yeah.
यहाँ तक इसको भी तो चेक करेगा कि 23 अगर होता है तो it will return this as well, right? So
So whole table will be
so whole table will be scanned, right? This is called full table scan. Okay. So here, how many seconds will it take to execute this code?
25.
25, right? So time taken to run this code is, can I say it is proportional to your number of rows in the data set? Yes or no?
Logically correct.
Yes.
Okay. Uh, Now, let's say your data set has 25 rows, so it's going to take 25 seconds. Suppose your data set has 2500 rows, it is going to take 2500 seconds. And as your data is increasing, the time to run that code is increasing. Of course, it does not take 1 second to run a row. I'm just taking a hypothetical example. But suppose you have a million rows, it is going to take a million seconds, which is not good, right? Generally, in the company, when you run query, it does not take that long, right? I mean, or you have to reduce that, you have to reduce the compute power, that okay, I don't want it to, because all this, while running, while all making all these checks, what is happening? First, it is taking extra time. Okay, that's fine. Let's It is using extra memory, resources of the computer, right? Extra electricity will be consumed, extra will come, whatever, everything, you can assume that way, right? So what we are doing, we are making inefficient, this is called an inefficient SQL query, because what happens is we are technically, I mean, the rows which are not useful to us, for example, this, where book ID is 23, we don't want to run this, we don't want to waste time in checking these things, right? And here comes the concept of indexes. That indexes say that whenever you are using a filter, okay, I will use it in a method that it only checks for those rows, or basically it will minimize your, for example, for 25 rows, it is not going to take 25 steps. It will be reduced. We will see how many steps it's going to take. But is the problem statement clear to you guys? That why a normal SQL query which we write is not the most efficient? Because as your data set size increases, the SQL query takes more and more time. So this is called the search that we were doing. Technically, what we are doing a search in our database or table, where we are selecting, where we are trying to select any particular book ID. Okay. Any doubt, anyone in this part?
So you are saying if we write like a small query also, like a select from where book ID is 23, it
Yeah.
will take time, you are saying, right?
Yeah. So see, remember, first of all, put this in your mind. Optimization does not mean small query, large query. Computer does not care. A line, a code of line, let's say 10 lines, and a code of 1,000 lines. They A code of line 10 can be less efficient than a code of line 1,000. Okay. So these lines do not make a difference. How those search are happening in the backend, that actually affects your SQL query. So let people who are beginner in SQL, let them think that okay, writing a big SQL query might reduce the speed time of my code, but that is not the case. Okay, length of your SQL query has very rare impact on your execution. Of course, like when you have codes of 50,000 lines, right? That will, of course, will have a higher runtime. But I'm talking about standard cases when you write a code of, let's say, 20 to 50 lines, right? That does not change anything. That the time execution time will remain same. I mean, the query length will not be a factor. Okay, how you write those queries will be a factor, but the query length will never be a factor. Is it clear? So how those eventually in your SQL query, you write different things. You write down searches, you write down group by, you write down whatever things, right? How those things are working in the backend, right? So think like an engineer, that how those things will be working in the backend, and that determine whether your SQL query is, like, let's say, optimized or not. Okay. So the first lesson for you today is that don't assume that SQL query length is what it determines the uh, like performance of a SQL query. Is it clear? Anyone, any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. So Uh, Remember that movie example I showed you yesterday? Still, let me show that you once again. I mean, it's fine. We can go. So, uh, so let us say I have to search for a movie. Let's say this is a website. I want to scan a movie here. Uh, what I will do, let's say I go here. Uh, yeah. So we have to search for a movie. For example, we were looking for Pushpa, right? So now let's say in this movie we have I click view more, it will show me all the Indian movies recently. Now you can basically search. Let's say I asked you to search a movie Pushpa without, for example, uh, typing. You cannot type anything in search bar, because right, you have to go to page one by one. So right now we are at, so there are like 529 pages, right? What you will do, you'll go to each page one by one. So first of all, on the first page I will check, do I see any movie named Pushpa? I don't see that, right? So after that I'll move to page number 2. Okay. I'll come to page number 2. Here also I don't find it. Okay. Now I will move to page number 3. I found this movie. Okay. So it took me on the third page I was able to find this particular movie. Okay. Let if Now assume there is a movie which is very old, because that is sitting on the page number 529. Just imagine I will have to do uh I'll have to do this search 528, change this button 529 times, right? Also, right, for example, we're talking about the practice website. You guys told me that in the website please add a button that we can directly move to the questionnaire, or we can type it somewhere, right? Because when there are 500 questions, you have to do click one by one to reach to a particular question. So this method of searching something is very inefficient. You are going one by one. Yeah, time complexity will increase. So you're going one by one to search your element, and it can take indefinite time. So this method of basically searching anything in the least time, or whatever, it is called time complexity. You don't need to understand time complexity in this course, but just understand what we were doing right now when we were searching anything one by one. It is generally, we call it a linear search. Okay, linear search. So what does a linear search mean? That suppose you have a, let's say you have a list here, for example, of things. So suppose you want to search an element called as 11. Okay. So what you will do, you will, in linear search, what we do, we come here. So let's say this is our SQL first row. We will check in the first row. Is it equal to 11 or not? If it is not equal, I will move to the next. Now this is also not equal. I'll move to next. I'll move to next. I'll move to next. I'll move to next. And here I found the result. Okay. Now, as the size of my list increases, and as it is going to take more and more time. So by default, when you run a SQL query, it uses linear search. Okay. So when you put a filter, let's say where book ID equal to 1, what is it? It is going to do a linear search. So how can we reduce this particular thing? As I mentioned, we use the concept of indexes. So what indexes does is that it converts, again, there are a lot of things that are involved in indexing. They generally use the concept of binary tree, which are eventually binary searches. Okay. Now remember, you don't need to go in deep, understand what is binary search and all that. I'm going to just explain you how does binary search works. But even if you don't remember, that's fine. Just understand that binary search is an efficient method of retrieving something instead of doing a linear search. And when you use an index, it changes your by default method of search from linear search to binary search. Okay. So let me show you how it is going to basically, just give me a second. Yeah. So let me show you how binary search exactly works. How does it, I mean, I'm talking about that, yeah, it reduces the operations, but how does it do that? Let's see that. Okay. If anyone has any question before that, let me know. Okay. So what binary search is going to do, remember, so how many rows does this table has? Tell me. Did I ask a very complicated question? How many rows does this table has?
25.
25.
Okay, thanks for this lightning information. Uh,
Uh,
Now, what is the half? So, what binary search does, it splits your data set and it keeps on splitting data set into half. So, what it will do, first of all, what is the half of 25? It is 12 and 13, right? So, it will split it into two halves. So, let's say I'm looking for ID 23. Okay. What it will do, it will split the data set into two halves. So, this will be the first half. Okay. And this will be the second half. And it will check, it will ask, where is my, for example, right now I'm searching for ID equal to 23, right? So I'm searching ID 23. Now tell me, in which half is my ID lying in this first half or second half?
Second half.
Second half, right? So what it will do after step one, it will uh, pick only these two, the lower part. Okay. So this is my step one. So it will discard the above half and now it will focus on the in the bottom half. Okay. Now, what is this? So after first step, what did we do? We eliminated how many rows? 12 rows. And otherwise, tell me, in linear search, how many steps did it take me to eliminate 12 rows?
12.
12 times.
12 steps, right? But in binary search, I eliminated 12 rows at once. Okay. Now, I will follow the same step. How many rows are there? There are 13 rows. So
13.
I will split it again it into half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's say 6 and 7. I split it into two halves, 6 and 7. So this is the first part and this is the bottom part. Okay. Now tell me, where does 23 lie in? First half or second half?
Second half.
So I will reduce, I'll focus on the lower part now. Okay. So I'll get rid of the top part. How many rows have I eliminated? I eliminated 12 here
6 row.
and 6 here. Total 18 I have eliminated in two steps. 18 rows elimination would have taken how many steps? 18 steps in the linear search. Okay. Now, again, let's have this particular data set. Okay. This has 7 rows, right? What I will do again, I'll split into half, 3 and 4. So let's say this is 3 and this is 4. So of course, my 23 lies here only, right? So I'll copy this again. In step 3, I'm reaching here. Okay. Now I'll again split. Now, where will my answer lie in this half or bottom half? It will lie here, right?
yes. Yes.
And now tell me, once I will split again into half. Where is my answer lying in? First half or the bottom half?
Second, bottom.
Yeah. So I got my result. Now let's see how many steps did I take. First splitting I did here. Second splitting, third splitting, fourth splitting, fifth splitting, right? In 5 splits, I was able to get the answer. So technically, in just 5 steps, I'm able to get my row in a data of 25 rows, right? So in 5 steps, it was taking me 25 steps to solve in linear search. Okay. In binary search, I achieved the same thing in 5 steps. Okay. Now let's try to understand through one more example, and then we will see the power of binary search, that what if we reach data up to million, how many steps is it going to take in linear search, and how many steps is it going to take in binary search. Okay, so let us say we have a very small list, for example. Okay, so let's say this is 2, this is 4, this is 6, this is 8, this is 10. One important thing to note in binary search, that list or rows, they need to be sorted on some ID. Okay, then only binary search works. Okay, so now suppose I have to find this element 12. Okay, let's try to understand how we'll be doing in binary search. So what will we do in binary search? We will first, how 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, there are 8 elements. So what will I do? I will make split. So this will be my first split, where I'll split it into 2 half, right? Now tell me, where is my answer lying, in this part or this part?
Second part.
Second part. Okay,
Second part.
this is my second part. Okay, now I'll make another split here. This is 1 2 3 4, so I'll make a split at the half. Okay, now I have these two left. In my answer is lying here, I'll make another split. I got my, so this is my answer, right? In 3 splits, I'm able to reach to this, but in 3 steps, I'm able to reach to my answer. A linear search would have taken 1 2 3 4 5 6.
Sir, what if the 12 are two, I mean, they are duplicate rows of 12 IDs. I mean, just for in 10, 12, and instead of 14, there again a 12. So how it will
That does
work?
not make any difference. You just need to get 112, right? That you'll get it. Even if there is 12, what will happen? 12 is lying in both of the places, right? You can pick anything. You just want to find the first entry. Even if you are able to find locate once, then again you will apply binary search once again to find the other location. It will remain same. That is not going to change anything. So you'll find first 12, then after that you will follow the same steps to find the second 12 as well. So okay, so what did we see? What do we see here? That how does linear search work is that the steps. So for example, there's a data of row n. Okay, linear search requires 2 raised to the power k steps. So where k is the number of splits. Okay, number of splits. So number of splits you need to find an element in a data set of row n rows. Okay, so for example, right now we were doing 25 rows in that example. Okay, 25. So 2 raised to the power k is equal to 25. Now 2 raised to the power 4 is equal to 16. Okay, it means the number of slices will be greater than 4. 2 raised to the power 5 is equal to 32. So you have to try to reach to the next most closest value of k. So the k will be equal to 5 steps. Okay, so it means now try to expand this example. What if suppose you have a data set of row 1024, for example, uh, 1000 rows. Okay. So 1000 is approximately equal to 1024. 1024 is technically equal to 2 raised to the power 10. It means for 1000 rows, you need 10 steps. You need 10 splits. Okay. So technically, for 1000 steps, you need 10 steps. Okay. Now just technically just make it million. Okay. So just multiply it by 3, so the power. So 10 raised to the power 30 will require 2 raised to the power, sorry, 10 raised to the power 6, sorry, will require 2 raised to the power 30. It means to find a row of million records, you need only 30 to 31 steps of splitting in binary search. Okay. And how many steps you would require in linear search? Is it confusing?
No, but
Then why are you not answering me? For a
thoda
data
sa ma-
of for a data of million rows, binary search is going to take 31 steps. How many steps is linear search going to take?
1 million.
1 million.
Billion.
And think about billion.
Billion.
So it is going to keep on increasing. Anyways, this is 10 raised to the power 3 was 2 raised to the power 10, right? So
Right.
it will become 20, not 30. I'm sorry. Right? And for a billion rows, it is going to take 30 steps. Okay. Not for million, billion. So technically, I mean, in short, I mean to say that in just 31 steps, you can find an element in a data set of 30 of data set of billion rows. So do you see the power of binary search? Anyone, any confusion in binary search? So that's why binary search is more efficient. Now remember, indexing does not always use simple binary search. There are a lot of advanced binary search algorithms working in the backend. You don't need to understand them. That's out of scope for you right now. So just understand that. But yeah, understand something like this is working in the backend. That when it splits the data for efficient search, they have some binary tree, which they call as binary tree. Okay. So now let's talk about what happens when we say indexing. So whenever we say indexing on a column, on a data set, what will happen that you will say that, so whatever things you're going to put in filter, right? Let's say you don't simply write down a query. Okay. You create so let's say I write down select star from a particular table where book ID equal to, let's say, something. So you'll create an index on one of the on one or multiple column you can create. We'll see that how you create indexes. But what will happen the moment you create an index on any column? Whenever I'm going to use that column as filter, it will use binary search. Okay, it will not use your standard linear search. Is it clear? So the query will not change. Your query will remain same. Select star from table where book ID is equal to 23, for example. Your SQL query will remain same. But what will happen? The way SQL query is executed in the backend, that will change. Clear, guys?
So do you mean to say that indexes is using the binary search algorithm behind the backend?
Yes.
That's why.
Yeah. So index uses binary search algorithm in the backend. That's why it becomes efficient. When you write down a SQL query using indexes, it's an efficient way of writing SQL query.
Okay. And
So
basically, binary search is splitting the data into half. That's why it's more efficient.
Yes,
Uh,
it is. Yeah, it is like uh, finding anything by splitting data into half, right? And
hmm,
that's why it is more efficient.
more efficient than linear search. Yes.
Yeah.
So it will stop the answer where if we required book ID 17, it will stop there and it won't continue, right?
Yeah, it will not do the, for example, of course it will do uh some searches which are not useful, but that it has to do, but it will not make all the searches like 1,000 1,000,000 whatever it is. Any doubt, anyone? Okay,
No doubt. No doubt.
then you will ask, write on group that समझ में नहीं आया कुछ, एक बार सोच लो पहले. Okay.
So every time when we write a query, like again, that it comes to the previous questions only. Whatever we asked is, should we like always write query using indices or only
Yeah,
complicated queries? It depends on what like.
it depends if you are using a small, like for example, the if you're doing just assignments for data science, or you're practicing question online, that their indexes do not make any difference. Okay, because you are just
Okay,
doing.
so
Yeah,
so means if okay, I got it. So if you have a very large data set, like which has a millions of rows, or there we always recommend indexing. Is it right?
yeah, there I recommend indexing when you're just practicing SQL questions on website, or just test like
Got it.
your
Yeah,
own.
yeah. The it is limited data.
Their indexes does not make any difference.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So that's why this index is called performance optimization. Your SQL query will remain same, but how does it execute in the backend? That's a difference, and that difference you will not see. I'll show you when you run queries on data of 100 or 200 rows. It will not, you will not be able to see any difference. Okay, but that
Yeah.
difference will come when you're using big data. Okay, or not
Yeah.
only big data, even when you're using large data. For example, billion rows, right? There you will start seeing that.
Yeah.
Any doubt, anyone? Okay. Okay. So first of all, let's see how this index is created. Okay. It's a very simple syntax. So go to the Postgres. If you go to the drive, I have posted class 16 data there. You can simply download things from there. Okay. So this is a table books, which we are, it will be present in the data that I shared. Select star from books. Okay. So right now, if you have to see that, for example, how does a query execute, there are few syntaxes that you run. The first step you can write down here is, in front of the SQL query, just write down this explain. Okay, when you write this particular thing, explain this SQL query, and you execute it, it will show you something like this. Okay, so sequence scan means it is doing your whole table scan. Okay, remember, there are two type of scan. One is index scanning, which we just learned, and second is full table scan, which is also called sequence scan. That is row by row it is doing. Okay. So one thing is sequence scan and index scan. Okay. These index scan you will not see in small data set. You will see once you reach to big data sets. Okay. And of course, once you apply indexes. Okay. Now, beyond this, you will be seeing a lot of other variables as well. If you see, there are something called as cost. Okay. Then it is rows width. Okay. So technically, what do they mean? I mean, you don't need to go in much detail. Cost here technically means how much compute is this query taking. Okay. Just right now, just assume that so what does it mean? Higher the cost, it means it is going to take higher compute. It means it is going to be less efficient query. Okay. So higher cost, less efficient query. So this is the cost function. Rows is of course number of rows after running the SQL query. And width technically is the size of your data set. Okay, so whatever width is given, just multiply by that. So let's say 1158 multiplied by 1000. This will be your so it means these many bytes of data is there. Okay, so bytes. So what does it mean? This when you run this data set, select star from this table, it is going to take 1158 kbs of data. 1158 kb of data. So again, how is it important for us? It means that higher width size means more data, means less efficient query. So width should be less, cost should be less, number of rows, again it should be less if you want an efficient query, but number of rows is determined not by performance parameter, it is determined by what a user needs, right? So these two things play. So technically cost plays a bigger role, and rest all of the parameters are just interconnected with that. Okay, so this is how you get to see explain. You can write down explain in front of any SQL query and it will give you the result. Now to deep dive on this, you can also write down explain, analyze, and you just write down that SQL query. Okay. So you will see more things. You'll see some planning time, that whenever you run a SQL query, SQL tries to like think like this. Whenever you start doing any work, right? First of all, you anticipate, okay, to do this work, I might take 3 days, I might take 4 days. Okay, that is your planning time. And second is your execution time. That, for example, how much did it actually take to execute something? So how much time it went in planning, for example, and how much time it actually took to execute that query. Okay, so of course these two should be less for an efficient SQL query. Okay, so these are the few parameters you need to know. Eventually you don't need to just remember, I mean, just know that you can check the performance of your query by running these like, once you write your big codes, you can check the performance of your query by writing these two commands: explain, analyze. Now let's try to creating an index. Okay, so how to create an index? It's very simple. Remember, it's not a very difficult task. So remember, while indexing, our most of the things remain same, right? Our query will remain same. We just need to write down an additional line where we are defining indexes. Okay, so first of all, just to check how many indexes, because I taught yesterday as well these things, I'll say select star from pg underscore indexes, where let's say where table name, table underscore, I forgot, table name is equal to books. Okay, so there are some indexes already present. You will see schema name, table name, index name. So I can simply drop, so I'll say drop index, and I will call it, let's say, idk composite, idk underscore composite. Now let's see how to create an index. To create an index, you simply need to use one command, that is create index. Then you need to give the index name. So let's say I call, uh, let's say I'm running a simple where book ID equal to, let's say 13. Okay. So I'll say create index. I will just create a name, index underscore book ID. Okay. On. Then I will write down the table name, that is books. And inside book, I want to create index on which. Now tell me, remember, index has to be applied on things which you are putting filter on. Okay. So here, index will be applied on what?
Book
ID.
ID.
Book ID. So you'll say index applied on book ID. Okay. That's it. Once you do this, your index is created. Okay. Now, if I just check this, the indexes of my databases, I'll see this index created, book ID, which I just created. Uh, okay. And you see B tree. What does B tree means? Binary tree. It means on this filter, which I created, book ID, this variable, it will use the binary tree to always search anything. Okay. Now everything remains same.
So,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. So, once you create index, immediately means from that time itself, it will start using the binary search
Yeah, from
algorithm.
yeah, exactly. And you don't need to write any binary search in the code. Your code
Huh,
will remain same. Okay.
huh.
You just need to run the code as it. For example, okay, it will show. So you will not see any significant any change here. Everything. You just need to create an index on that variable. That's it. Okay.
And
So whenever
so this query. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, please.
So once you right now you have given the index like on one one column which is the book ID currently. So there are more. Can there are there any more variations on that on what they can be created, or it is just based on like the need basis or something?
It is on the need basis. For example, if I put some other filter, it will not execute binary search. If I take filter name equal to, let's say, book name equal to, let's say, ABC. Okay. Now it will run in the normal linear search only. So it is based on your need, which column you want to, what you think. So generally we write indexes when you have a big query. If it's a big query, I mean there's a long SQL query and you are executing it again and again, right? And there are a lot of filters in that. To optimize that, you put everything in indexes and then you execute that.
Can we add multiple columns?
Yeah, we can do that. I'll show you.
Okay.
Anyone, any other doubt?
So Satvik, I have one question here. So create index. You are creating index on book ID field, right?
Yeah.
So on the table of books, and what about this when bracket and brackets book ID?
On table books, I'm creating an index on column book ID.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
It's not created on other columns. So if you put any other column as filter, it will run in
Mhm.
normal linear search only.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Is it clear, everyone? Guys, tell me if there's any doubt.
so when to use index? I mean, if there are large number of rows,
When you
if
have
we
large
want to
tables, then you need to, like, if you're
and
using.
filtering on the basis of multiple columns at that
Yes,
time, putting up to that index, and then the query will get optimized.
yes. So it's an
Okay.
optional thing. You write down, you use index when you use large data sets, right? There you need
Hmm.
this particular thing.
Okay, cool.
When you're practicing SQL and all that, you don't need to know indexes.
But however, we need in real
In real
real
world, you need, I'm just telling you about, in real world also, like you don't need, if you're doing a small analysis, you don't need it. You mainly need this when you're writing down data pipelines. That's why this is mainly required for data engineers, because for them, running an efficient SQL query becomes important, because that's going to be a regular process, right? The regular retrieval process, regular extracting data from one source and putting it somewhere else, right? And that code runs, needs to run every day. Okay, so there you need to optimize things. When you are just doing a standard normal analysis as a data analysis or something like that, then you don't need indexing. Because so see I mean, eventually performance, when you need to have a better performance on SQL query, when you're running it on a daily basis, right? A daily basis, same query again and again, again and again, right? You're fetching some reports every day. Okay, there you need, because that query needs to run every day. But if you're doing some ad hoc analysis, you just got, okay, just for one time I need to run a query, there you don't need to do any indexing.
Can we scan or check the indexing now on this indexed data query
What
that we have done?
on this query?
Yes.
It will not show any difference, because
Won't show any difference because of the size of the data, but
yeah, we can, that too you can check anytime. Explain, analyze. So I, now what happens in the backend, remember, you will see different thing like nested loop, left join and all that, sequence scan. Okay, these things you will keep on seeing, you don't need to worry about, because remember, in the backend, it uses binary tree and it uses lot of methods, right? So whichever method is optimal for it at that time, it just by default picks that. But you will see the changes once you start using the same query on bigger data set. Okay, here also you will see right now sequence scanning only. So if I just write down explain, okay, let's say I write down explain this, sorry, uh where is the query, explain this, it will show you sequence scan only. Okay, because see, for a row, there are 25 rows only. Sequence scanning and index scanning will not be of any difference. So that's why by default it picks sequence scan, analyze. Okay, but once you start using for bigger data set, you will this index scan will start coming here. Tell me, guys, is it clear the concept of index? Anyone, any doubt? I'm assuming everyone understood.
yes.
अभी यस बोलते हो यार, बाद में ग्रुप में कहते हो समझ में नहीं आया. So now let's study. There are two type of indexes. One is clustered index. Second is non-clustered index. Just these are the two concepts which you need to know. So what happens? This clustered index can be only one in the data set. This can be multiple. I don't know why people created this. This is just a useless thing, but just people have created out of anything. So basically everything is non-clustered only because in your SQL query, there can be multiple filters, right? Uh, where for example, book ID equal to this, title equal to this, author equal to this, everything. Now, what the difference between clustered and non-clustered index is that when you use a clustered index, remember, you basically you change the original data. Okay. So what I mean to say that, let's say this data was unsorted initially, for example. Let's say the data looked like something like this. Let me sort it on by author. Okay. So this data is not sorted on book ID. Okay. Now suppose you want to write a query, select star from table where book ID equal to 17, and you want to create an index on that. So what will happen? Remember, what is the primary condition of a binary search? That that column should be sorted. So what it will do, it will sort the data first. Okay. So in clustered index, it will change the original data. Okay. So let's say this was your original data, and once you create an index on book ID, what will happen? This will change your original data. Okay. So book ID, it will change your original data, and your data will become like this. And now it will perform whatever the SQL query you are writing. Okay. Now the thing with that is, you cannot have two clustered indexes. Can someone tell me why? Remember, what does clustered index sorts? It changes the original data, okay, and sorts based on the given column on which you have created index. So my statement is that there can only be one clustered index in a table. Yes or no? Tell me with reason.
Yeah, there can be only one, but reason.
Why how you know there can only be one?
Because for a sorted data, what's the need for another sorting?
Another sorting. Yeah, correct.
Thing is that
Means
if the data is sorted on book ID, right? It cannot be sorted on some other. I mean, it may or may not, but you cannot say that data is sorted on book ID as well, and it is sorted on title as well, right?
Hmm.
Because if you try to sort on title, the sorting of book ID will change, right? Now the data is
Correct.
sorted on title, but it is not sorted on book ID, correct? There can be a
Hmm.
scenario, of course, luckily there can be a scenario when if you sort on book ID, automatically title is also sorted. But that is very rare case. I mean, that like generally does not happen. But again, that's just by luck. That's not actual sorting. Okay. So that's why you use only one clustered index. So clustered index basically is when you change your original data. And non-clustered is that what you do, you create an image of your column or whatever you create. For example, let's say I want to create an index on book ID, title, and author. So I will just take a snapshot of that and I will store it separately. Okay. And now I will run a query on this. So without changing the original data, I will do whatever checks I want to do on a snapshot of data. That is the difference between clustered and non-clustered. Okay. Any doubt?
Like in clustered index, why can't it sort on two columns, just like order by?
No, but if it sorts, how does order by work? What is the
First
primary
column,
sorting? Primary sorting is this.
yes.
If you even when you do order by, when you sort on order by, you take two columns. Is it completely sorted on the second column?
No, the first column.
It is
First
completely sorted
starts
on the
on the
first column only,
first.
not the second
Yeah.
column, right? So that's the thing. I mean, even you can, if you use multiple things, main thing is you want complete sorting, because if you have to apply binary search, you need a completely sorted column.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
Right. So that is called, that is subsort. Like for example, it will be sorted for a particular category, right? But it will not be sorted for the whole data, the second column which you are using, right?
Yes.
Okay, now I'll move to the coding part. Anyone, any doubt? Okay, let's move to understanding few scenarios of basically. So by default, remember in SQL, PostgreSQL or any SQL, your primary key is your clustered index by default. Okay, and any other that you create. So for example, let's say we have this. Uh, where is this query? So yeah, so let me drop an index. I'll say drop index idx underscore book id. Okay, when I use this, my okay. So by default, whenever you create a table, you can check on your system as well. By default, there will always be one index in your tables. Okay, and that will be the primary key which you created. Okay, so it will never change. It will always be there. Okay, so and that is the first index that you already have. Okay, so that's why when you do any filtering based on your primary key, that query is by default indexed, and that query is by default it is optimized. Okay, that you should know. Now let's try to understand few scenarios, and we'll basically I'll try to code and show you that what are various things. For example, this table, if I see uh, select star from books. Okay, so I have these many rows. Now we'll understand right now how to create unique index. So what do I mean by unique index? We saw how to create an index. It's pretty simple. Just write down a query for index, create an index. That's it. After that, you start executing your query. Okay. Now let's try to understand the concept of unique index. Okay. Now, first of all, if you see, I have this table. If I try to insert value in this table, for example, I say insert into books. Okay. A book ID, title, author, year published, genre, values. The values will be, for example, let's say the book ID. Okay. So now, can I duplicate this? For example, let's say I say there is a book ID 2, not 2. Let's pick any other example. Which one? I picked yesterday 1984. Let's take same example only. So let's say this is the book ID 1984. I want to enter this. For example, I say let's say the book ID is 8, and I'm entering the same book which is already present in the system, 1984, for example. Okay, 1984, and then its author, for example, his author name is George Orwell. Then I have his year 1949, and I have this genre dystopian. Okay. Now tell me, once I execute this query, will this query insert, will it go inside my table or not? I'm trying to insert a new row, a new primary key. Sorry, we have 25, right? So let's make it 27, for example. The primary key is new, but I'm trying to insert the same information which is already present in the data. Will this information go inside my database or not?
Yeah.
Why? If yes, why?
Because we are changing the ID, that is the primary key, so it will treat it as good as a new record.
So I'm asking, will it go or not?
Yeah, it
Yes,
will. I
definitely,
think.
definitely, it will definitely go.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone who thinks it will not go? Well, let me tell you, it will not go. Can you give me justification if I say this will not go? Why it will not go? I'm telling you guys it will not go. So what do you think is the reason? Can anyone give me justification for that?
Maybe you dropped
What did I drop?
this.
It's not a duplicate record, right? So why won't it go?
Anyone who can justify me? I'm saying that it will not go. Can anyone justify this statement that I made it? Okay, justify then why it will go.
Because it's a
Because
new record.
primary
it's
key is uniquely
new
Yeah,
shared.
primary key
ID.
is different.
The answer is it will go. Okay. So thing is it will go for sure.
Yeah. Why?
Now thing is that because there is no constraint, if I would have put this, it would have gone? Now tell me, will this row insert or not?
No,
No.
it won't insert.
क्यों नहीं जाएगा? क्या बातें कर रहे हो आप लोग? Can't there be two duplicates in the table?
Okay, duplicates.
ये ऐसा डेटा नहीं देखा क्या आपने कभी?
हाँ, देखा है, yeah, yeah.
Tell me, will it go or not?
No, it won't.
Why?
Unless
Have
and
it?
until no.
Primary key
If you have given a
constraint,
constraint of
ठीक है, चलो आपने मेरी
if
थोड़ी इज्जत
book
बचा ली.
ID is a primary key ka constraint, then it will not go. While when you're setting the
Thanks. आप लोग ने इज्जत बचा ली थोड़ी, मतलब वरना तो मेरा दिमाग खराब हो जाता है. ऑफ कोर्स इट्स अ प्राइमरी की यार, प्राइमरी की दो नहीं हो सकती, राइट? दिस इज अ प्राइमरी की, यू कैन नॉट एंटर डुप्लीकेट प्राइमरी की. ओके.
Bro,
So
have you read any book, psychology book today?
नहीं यार. I just wanted that your explanation should be confident. That's it. Okay. So anyway, this will go and this will not go. Okay. But that's not the main point. The main point is that I don't want any duplicate by this book. Like let's say I have this constraint that okay, I don't want a table with duplicate titles, for example, that there should always be one title present. One method is we all know we can create a primary key on that. But let's say the table is already created and now I cannot change primary key, right? So how can we do that? How can I ensure? For example, right now if I enter this, it will go. Okay. So now if I do select star from books, I'll see a row with 27 and where this book was inserted, right? 1984, George Orwell, blah, 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 it came. But now tell me, how can I delete from this? I want to delete this row from the table. How can I do this? I want to delete the row number 27 which I just inserted. How can I delete this from the table?
Just a
By
drop.
using delete,
Give me the query.
delete.
Delete.
Table name.
From table name.
Okay.
Delete from.
Delete from. Okay.
Where
Where?
what is it?
book ID.
Book ID equal to 27.
Will this run or not? Yes or no?
Yes, it will.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. So now I want to enforce a constraint. I'll say that there should only be one unique val. There should be only one, like no book ID should get repeated. There we use the concept of unique index. So what we do, we will create a unique index here. So we will say create unique, okay, index. Now I will name as, let's say, IDX underscore author. You can name it anything, it's up to you. Okay. On. And now I want to create an index on this title. Okay. So not author, I'll say title. Let's call it title. So I'll say books and the name is title. Okay. Now what will happen, that it will create a unique index on this. Now whenever you try to enter a new row with a duplicate title which is already present, it will not let you enter. Okay. So let's see, this is it. And let me try to insert this 27 once again. Remember, earlier it got inserted, but now when I try to enter it, it will throw me an error that key this already exists, duplicate key violates the unique constraint IDX title. Okay, this IDX title we just created here. Okay.
When we created the table, we will give the primary and
We
this.
give primary key, we give unique constraints there. I'm telling in case you have missed that, in case. Okay.
Okay.
You can utilize the concept of index as well. Generally you define everything at the table creation, but sometimes you forget. Sometimes let's say you are not able to, that time you didn't realize that there will be duplicate, something like that. Okay. And later on you just want to update it, so that time you can simply use the concept of index.
Is this temporary, like
Index is permanent, not temporary.
Permanent, huh?
Index is stored in your database. You can delete the indexes, but it is stored in your database. Index is just a mapping which is stored in your data set.
No, I'm asking like if we close this page or something, it will be.
Let's say close this PostgreSQL. Okay, you're asking this only, right?
Yeah. After reopen again, it will be a saved or
let's check out. Okay.
Okay.
चेक ही कर लेते ना, मेरे बोलने से क्या होगा. Let's check it.
आपके बोलने से ही हो रहा है ये सभी.
मेरे बोलने से क्या हो रहा है यार? मैं तो बस आप जो बोल रहे हो मैं वो रन कर रहा हूँ.
आज फुल ऑन में हो आप.
This is loading. Okay. Servers. Okay. Tell me the query, how to get the indexes. Select star from PG. So this PG means Postgres. So for different database, you will have different command. Okay, वो आप लोग check कर लेना. Select star from PG underscore indexes where table क्या आएगा यहाँ पे? See, index is there.
Index is book ID. Book. Yeah, there.
Right. So index does not change. Index always stay in your database. It's a permanent. I mean, permanent thing. I mean, you can of course remove your index that simply by saying drop index, and you'll say IDX underscore title. That you can do, but it is just like you create a table, it remains in your data set. That is how an index is also created, it remains in your database. Okay.
Yeah, because why I ask, because like if we update or if we do anything, it won't do on that time, right?
Yeah.
Like we, if we have created this one,
What?
this index, after that we can update and delete, and we can do everything, right?
Yeah. No. Suppose you already have a duplicate in your table. Okay. And then if you try to create a unique index, it will not create.
Yes, understood.
Okay. So ऐसे reverse engineering नहीं कर सकते आप. Like if you try to be smart, it will not let you do. Right? If your table has duplicate, then you won't be able to create an index on that. It will give you an error. Okay. One last concept. After that, let's have a break. Composite index. Composite index is nothing basically. As I mentioned, you can, if you want to create index on multiple columns. Let's say I want to have a, let's say, uh, there's a query. Select star from books. Okay. Where title equal to, let's say something. Let's say 1984, and you can say author equal to whoever it was. Author equal to जो भी था George Orwell. Okay. Or let's say you have multiple filters. So and now what will happen, that क्या होगा कि एक पे on one query, on one column there is index, on one column there is not an index. So actually it will still become primary, linear search, right? So what you want to create index on both of the parameters. So again, that's just a fancy name of saying, calling it composite. The steps remain same. You will simply use create index, okay, idx underscore title underscore author on हम क्या लिखते हैं यहाँ पे, books लिखेंगे, and we just mention the column name, let's say title and author. That's it. Your index will be created on these two columns. Okay, that's all you need to know from in this course. You can explore more once you move ahead, but it's fine. So if you see, this index is created now. Okay, so this is a composite index. Okay, so that's it. In the index part, if anyone has any doubt, let me know. Right, it is more of a conceptual right now. There's no some big statement, big query you need to learn for this, but just understand the concept of indexing.
So composite index now, here in bracket you have given title comma author.
Yes.
So it work on these two columns.
Yes.
Like how, I'm not getting exactly.
अरे क्या होगा, सर्च ही तो हो रहा है ना 1984 और समथिंग.
Means this will be sorted on title and author both columns.
Sorting नहीं होगी यहाँ पे. Remember, when you create composite key, does not sort the data. I mean, on the original table, it will just simply take that. आपका जो सर्च चल रहा था, आपका सर्च वो ऐसे ही करेगा, half of करके.
Sorry. Search. So first, so how it will go? Like it will first search on
अरे
the
वही तो,
title and then it will.
same step. It is looking for these two values. Now tell me, it will
Okay.
split the
So
data
it is
first of
like
all.
ending of like search for this title and this option.
Yes, it will check.
Sorry.
Suppose यहाँ पे आपके पास 1984 होता है, ठीक है, but यहाँ पे author कोई और होता है, let's say ABC. Okay. Now when you split the data, it will not choose the bottom part, because in the bottom part it is 1984 BSc. It is, but in the top part it is 1984 George Orwell. So whatever filter you
Yeah.
put, please try to search that part only.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So that's it, guys. Let's have a 14-minute break. After that, we will have a 1 hour more on stored procedure. Then we will finish the class. Yeah,
So
of course.
unique index will work on only a single column, and then composite will work on multiple filters. I mean, let's say multiple
No,
columns.
unique also you can create on multiple. For example, suppose you have, let's say, I mean, you can have 1984 repeated, but you cannot have, suppose, let's say this is this, okay? You want you're fine with 1984 getting repeated, but you don't want 1984 getting repeated for same author. Okay, then you'll create a unique index on these two columns.
Okay, okay.
So so now if you try to insert any row with 1984, it will let you enter, provided that his author is not one of these.
Same. Different. It should be different. Then only it will let me insert that.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So it is alternative of the primary key. If we forget while creating the table, so we can create the indexes.
Yes. Just like we used to create composite key while creating tables as well, right? So that's also you can. So this is just for those steps when you forget. That if you forget to create, you can use indexes. It's just a simple one line of code. You don't need to like learn any. There's just a conceptual thing, and rest. This is handy when only when you are using big data engineering projects. Like for small cases, you don't need it.
For analytics, I mean,
For
those who are
analytics, you
like,
don't need it. For analytics, it's not.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, of course, you're making me take same session again and again in a span of 24 hours. Composite is not valid for clustered. Yeah, clustered index mean only one column. So by default, assume everything is non-clustered. I mean, why they have given a name clustered, I don't know. I just told because there is a name, but by default, everything is non-clustered. Clustered means only that particular where you have the primary key basically, right? Or you want to create on one. Clustered index cannot be created on two columns, two or more. So let's have a 10-minute more. Like we'll have break till 10 p.m. After that, we will have one more. Is it possible to optimize queries on the already? This is optimizing on the already built system only, right? Right now, suppose you're on your current system, you don't have any indexing. You can add index there, and then your query will be optimized. Use case on what? I mean, this is the only use case. I mean, rest all will be questions only. The questions you will get, okay, uh, create an index on a column and then run a query for this sum. So the SQL question that you have been solving so far, they are those only. You just create an index on those filters. That's it. There's no special use case for this. I mean, at least you don't need to know like right now. I mean, but if you study data engineering in detail, then you might need to, but you don't need to know now. There are a lot of methods to optimize your SQL queries, just like selecting only the relevant columns. Don't do select star. You use window functions if you want to optimize your SQL queries. Use CTs. Again, CTs, if you don't know, at least start using window functions. If these things are already sorted, then uh, start using indexing, start using stored procedure. These are the methods of optimizing SQL queries. Okay, so everyone is back, right? Because I was not speaking, that's why voice was not coming. If I don't speak, generally voice does not come out of my mouth. That's science. Okay, so you I've given 4 options to you. Okay, my question is, which query will return the second highest salary? Okay, which query will return basically the second highest salary from the table? Okay. Okay, so tell me what will be your answer. This is just a quiz time. So you have 4 options. Let me paste in chat box. Which query will return the second highest salary from the table? Tell me.
First it will give
First one.
third also. I think it will give.
First,
Fourth,
third,
I
and
am not
fourth.
sure.
Not first one.
We have to find a second highest, no?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. I think fourth it won't.
Second, I think second is
Second won't be, bro. Like it mentioned distinct, right?
the maximum salary, no? It's second maximum.
Yeah,
1,
but
2,
So
3 it will
offset,
work. I
you
think.
have to
Fourth
by
one it
offsetting.
won't work.
So does data have duplicates?
That you guys decide. I mean, I just asked you a
So
question.
I
You have
think
to
like
assume.
for
Yes,
duplicate
it can be
data,
it's
it doesn't come.
duplicates.
If duplicates are there,
there
then
might be a duplicates. I
But you have
think
to
second
assume. I
one.
mean, no one will ask you that, tell you that there's duplicate or not. You have to analyze things yourself. When I'm asking a general question, you have to assume there will be duplicates, right? Unless I explicitly state that.
Bro, there is a multiple choice question. Any other? All the of the above. Something.
You decided there can be multiple correct options.
My-
Those who give correct answer will get 50% discount on website. First one. Okay.
Wait.
So I got 2 answers. 1 and 3, 1, 2, and 3. What about others? Tell me. Others don't want discount, yeah. It's fine.
Sir
Uh,
giving. Just want
We're
to know.
giving. I want discount.
so here, Satvik, I have a doubt. Like, what is limit 2 comma 1? Is it gives 2 rows, and what is that 1?
Limit 2 comma 1. It's I
In
think
2 rows, it gives the first one.
yeah.
Okay. So
My 1, 3, 1, 3, 4.
You pick 2 rows, and in that it gives you the first one.
Max salary, wage salary max equal to. Group by salary. Only.
So limit 2 comma 1 means it will skip the first two rows and it will give you the it basically is an offset. It's a way of writing offset. I think none of the options people are saying 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. Who all think second will be the, let's start discussing. Who all think second will give me the second highest? What's the question? I need the second highest salary from the table. Remember, am I asking the second highest employee or I'm asking the second highest salary?
Second from
Salary.
employees salary.
So tell me, is the question number 2, is the option 2 correct or not? If not, what? Tell me the reason. And if yes, tell me the reason. और आप लोग पूरा पढ़ाया लिखा है सब बर्बाद कर दोगे यार.
Yeah, actually, the second
correct.
one can give.
Is correct. Second one is correct because you have asking for salary. So it is distinct. It will first of all it has a distinct. So it's ensure that it will have a unique salary, and there is a limit also, and one offset. One offset will cancel out the first highest one, and it will give a second high. A limit one will give a second highest. So it will give a second highest. I mean,
Let's do one thing. Let's test it out. Okay.
Yeah, actually, the second one can give. I didn't see the distinct.
Create table salary.
आपको 80% डिस्काउंट.
As let's say create. So let's put the name. Okay. Employee ID and primary key. Okay. And then let's call it salary int. Okay. Insert into salary EMP ID, then salary, right? Values. Let's start inserting values to this. So let's employee ID is 1, salary is 2000. Okay. This is your first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Employee ID is, let's call it 2. This is 3. This is 4. This is 5. This is 6. Let's say there are 6 employees in the data set. So 2000, 2000. Let's keep it 2500. Let's keep it 3000. Let's keep it 3000. Let's keep it 4000. Okay. So if you see, what is the second highest salary? Tell me without running the query. Tell me what is the second highest salary in the data?
3,000.
What is the second highest salary in the data?
3,000.
Okay. 3000 is the second highest salary.
3004 are there. 4 and 5 are there.
Where is 5000?
No. 4. What is this?
I asked which is
second
the
highest
Employee ID.
salary, right?
Employee.
first highest salary is 4000, second highest is 3000.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now let me do select star from salary. Let's test it out. So I have this. Okay. Now we're talking about query number 2. Select distinct salary from this order by salary. So tell me, once I run this, what will come? Forget about limit and this. From salary.
It will arrange in a descending order.
Arrange in descending order, and it will give me the
Distinct
distinct
salaries.
salary, right? Now when I do limit 1 offset 2, what it will do?
It will give a second highest, which means 3000.
Offset 1, sorry, right?
Offset 1, yeah.
It will give the right query. So 3 is
Yeah, I
right,
told
second
you,
is
na.
right.
I
So
told you, I
those
my
who
instinct was saying
didn't
that.
those who didn't write the second, they are already out of the competition.
Is there any revision on my
No
answer?
revision.
No, no, no.
So what is limit? What is offset?
Sorry,
Offset is just removing the first
What is limit? What is
limit
offset?
is
row.
limit is basically selecting the top one row, and offset is like, from, for example, I taught this earlier as well.
Yes,
Suppose this
offset
is
is removing the rows from the first position, and like
limit is
you
basically when you say
from
limit
first row.
two, limit two means you're selecting top two rows. Okay. When you put an offset, it means you're skipping one row and then you're selecting these two rows. So offset is basically when you remove when you skip the rows while counting. This I have covered at the start of the if you see the initial classes, I have covered offset in
Yes,
detail.
yeah. Offset removes from the above start
When
from the
we
above.
say limit one, offset one, what does it mean? That limit generally means it will return this. But when we say
One
offset one,
record.
it means it will skip this and it will return you this. Okay. So this is the first query is correct. So the second query is correct. So I think a lot of people are already eliminated. I'm just thinking. Eliminated, and is there, then there, there, there. Also, who didn't answer one are also eliminated because one is also the right method. Think, what is it doing? Select max salary from the table where salary is less than. So what are you doing? You're selecting the max salary from the table where salary is less than. First tell me, when you put this condition, what will it give you? It will give you all the salaries which are not the max salary in the table, right?
The subquery will
Yes.
give the maximum salary, and after that we have to salary which then the
Subquery will give you
outer
the
query.
maximum salary which is present in the table, right? And when you use this
Yes.
filter, it will remove the top salary, correct? When you use this query, it will remove the top salary from the data. Yes or no?
Yes.
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 Right? And when you take the max of that, what will it mean? It will give the second max from the table. Just think like this. Those who are not able to visualize, for example, let's say you have this salary, 4,000, 3,000, 2,500, 2,000. Okay. Suppose you have these four. Now, when you say, let's read the query, where salary is less than the max. First of all, tell me which is the max salary in the table.
4,000.
4,000. So 4,000 will be populated in front of everyone. Okay. Now tell me which salary is less than 4,000. Is this less than 4,000?
3,000.
So this will be removed,
No.
right? And these three will be selected. Yes or no? These three will satisfy the condition where salary is less than max of salary. Agreed?
Yes.
Okay. Now read the query. What we are doing, select max salary from employees where salary is less than select max of this. So from this table, now you are selecting the max salary. What is the max salary in this table now?
3,000.
3,000. And 3,000, which initially is the second highest salary in the table. Got it? So first query is also correct. ये सब पढ़ाया लिखाया है आप लोग को यार भाई. Next, now tell me about 3 and 4. Forget about 4. Let's say now. Tell me about 3.
Select salary from. Try to break the way I tried to break The,
in an Excel.
the,
3 would
First they will show the max salary in that
Max salary, and then it will have to select from whatever is not the max. No, max has been removed, like the top salary has been removed.
salary in the book.
And
Yeah.
now it is saying that salary is not in the max of salary, right? So whatever is from below it, it will have to
Uh,
sort, and I'm not sure this will give the second highest
Sir,
or not.
it will like this. It will like this. The innermost will give the maximum salary, and the middle one, the I mean this select max salary where salary is not in. Using of not in will exclude that inner select maximum salary from employees. Then outer query will retrieve that data. I mean जो पहली वो जो फर्स्ट मैक्सिमम सैलरी वो रिमूव हो जाएगी सर एंड
So
इट
like
विल गिव
Mhm.
द
step by step चलते
सेकंड
हैं.
हाईएस्ट
Let's go step by step. सबसे पहले the innermost query. Select max salary. Okay. So when we run on this, let's assume this is the data set. What is the max salary? 4,000, right? So let's copy this.
You do a not on that. We have to do a not negation.
करते हैं ना, एक करके
So,
आते हैं ना. नॉट तो बाहर है ना, पहले ब्रैकेट के अंदर तो कर लें. ठीक है. तो this will retrieve to what? 4,000, right? Yes or no?
yeah.
When I say now, what the query becomes? Select max salary from employee where salary not in 4,000. What does it mean? It means from this data,
Yes. Got it.
remove
Yeah.
4,000. Now tell me the max salary.
Mhm.
What is
Now
the
tell
max
me the
now?
max. Yeah. Now it is 3.
3,000, right?
3
Yeah,
What is this?
correct.
Salary equal to 3,000.
The second
And
highest we do.
3,000 is already the second highest.
Yeah,
Which
correct.
means so this part is also the correct. So all three were correct.
Hmm.
Was there anyone who answered all three?
1, 2, 3. I answered.
I
Where?
also answered 1 2 3
Now stop lying, guys, please.
no sir you
So,
can see the answer
yeah, the
1 2
messages
3
are there.
yes.
I got 25%.
I see one person. Second, you just mentioned, I think you were not confident, so you are eliminated. Okay. And
No, but
you just think, na.
Can you explain third one, please, once again? Just 1 minute.
Yeah, sure. Anyways, guys, I'm kidding यार. किसी को डिस्काउंट नहीं मिलेगा, मैं तो टाइम पास कर रहा था. ठीक है.
No
Anyways,
sir
so basically, so what will happen? You will go from internally. So what is the innermost query? This is the innermost query, right? So this is select max salary from employees. So what will this resolve to from this table? Think like this. It will resolve to 4,000.
4,000 it will give.
Right? So now remove this. Okay. So you can technically remove this part, right? You can make it 4,000. Now the query becomes select max salary from employees where salary not in 4,000. What does it mean? It means where salary in this. And now from this, you have to tell the max salary. What is the maximum salary in this?
3K.
3K, right? So now this will change to 3,000. Okay, so original query becomes select salary from employees where salary is equal to 3,000. And what is that? That is your second most highest salary.
Okay. Thank you.
So that's how you resolve questions. Anyways, so
But
this was just
irrespective of this, I really got appreciate, bro. Is you have mentioned for one question, you have mentioned 3 types of this one.
yeah, you can write multiple queries for a single question.
Yeah, I understand this one. Like only
Okay.
single query will not be there.
Yeah,
for
there can be
any.
multiple queries. Okay.
Okay.
Anyways, let's start with the stored procedure. We'll spend next few minutes on that. Okay.
Performance training is over. Huh?
No, we just started. We just did index. Now that we are doing the second part of performance tuning, that is stored procedure, which we did, I think, yesterday. So I read about that percent, like those who were in that class, that percentage R thing. So percentage R takes both literal. So literal means it converts any string or text to that. That's why it was taking that. Just telling those guys who were there. Okay. So now we are going to study about stored procedure. So performance tuning will have one more class. I'll be covering few more concepts after this. So let's study about stored procedure. Okay. Now what happens that when you, like for example, when you're working in data engineering, or even you're working in a data analysis, for example, as an MI, has anyone worked on MIS analytics or dashboarding or anything, right? You have to run some standard SQL scripts every time, right? uh, for example, let's say let's assume, let's say we have this data here. Here is tables, books, courses. Okay, let's have this select star from employee. Okay, now listen this very carefully. Okay, there are different departments. Okay, let's say I ask you question that return return me employees from HR department. How will you do this? What will be the query for this?
Select the star from table name where department it is equal to HR.
Okay, you'll write down this, correct? Now suppose I ask you another question. What will you do?
We will replace HR with finance.
You'll take this code, you'll replace HR with finance. And if I'm a very weird boss, I'll keep asking you such request. Okay, and you will have to run that query again. And now this is a very small query, so you don't mind it. But imagine, let's say there is a very big code. For example, let's say there is a code of 1000 lines. Okay, so for example, let's say this is a code here. Let me show you. Let's say this is a code. Okay, this is a big code here, and I ask you to, you have to update some flags every time, let's say. Okay, so you, what you will have to do, you'll have to every time go in the code, check where that particular variable is, and just replace it. Okay, now this is just a 199 line code. What if there's a 1000 line code? Okay, uh, so it will become very cumbersome, right? I mean, for human, there will be a lot of human errors. Yeah, I know you can do control F and you can start doing them, but still there will always be human errors there. Agreed, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So what you do that, so first of all, this uh, this is error prone, right? Whatever you're going to write is first prone to errors. But this, even forget, let's say you're a superhero, you write very perfect codes, you don't get any error. But still, this query of writing things again and again, they have performance issue. Because let me tell you how a SQL query runs. Okay, so whenever you have a SQL query, suppose you create a SQL query here. Okay, SQL query, it hits the database, whatever database you're having. The query will hit the database. It will retrieve the results. Okay, it will get the results. And then it will give you the answer. Okay. Now this result which you have got is stored in a memory called as cache memory. Does anyone know what is cache memory?
Temporary memory.
Temporary memory which is present in the system. Okay. Now this remains there in the database unless you explicitly remove or whatever. It remains in your session, for example, let's say. So what is happening that this whole query which you extracted from here, it will the format of it will stay somewhere here. Now there are two different things. Every time you run a query, every time you write down a new query, it has to hit the database. There is some execution involved, there is some memory involved. Okay. So for example, when you are writing the same query and you are just changing the filters one by one, same filter you are changing again and again. Every time you are hitting a new query here. Okay. So every time you are initiating a new connection to databases, and then you are putting a query, and then you are executing a result. So every time there is a new memory allocated, everything will be happening again and again. So what is happening? This process becomes tedious because you are every time setting up things, right? So a better way to use is that when you have a same structured thing, it's better to start using the cache memory. Okay. If you have executed something like that previously or something on that line previously, you can get that information from there. Okay. And there comes the concept of stored. By stored, it means this whatever you write gets stored in cache memory. And procedure just mean like whatever command you write, that is called a procedure. Okay. Any doubt conceptually, anyone? All
No.
good, guys?
If we delete this cache memory, the stored procedure
Cache,
also,
cache memory.
cache memory, that also will be deleted. Eh?
Yeah. If you delete cache memory, then it's deleted. So basically, what happens that this query, you don't want to compile things again and again, right? You want to just compile once, and you want to store them, and you want to use them as long as possible. Like I mean, as long as you can use it, you want to use it. Is it fine? So because of this, like so you start using this cache. This also reduce the network traffic that you are getting on your website or your server. Like those things will be these things you will not realize right now. I mean, because the SQL that you use, you don't pay for that, right? But think like this. I'm telling you, for example, the data science website that I've created, right? You guys run SQL queries. For every SQL query that you run, I need to pay some money. Okay. Like right now I've stored data and websites data on AWS, so I need to pay AWS some money. Okay. And if my database is inefficient, okay, uh, if I'm not like written set up things properly, it will increase the cost for me. Okay. It will increase the cost for me. So like right now it costs me certain money per month, and if I don't use it, if I don't set up things properly there, it will start cost increasing the money, right? So that's why this setting up stored procedure or setting up whatever performance tuning becomes very efficient when you start thinking from a database designer point of view. Okay. Again, this is not required if you're working as a data analyst. This stored procedure, you can skip it. But if you're working as a SQL developer or a like database developer, you need to know it. So that is the importance of, I will say, the stored procedure. So what do we do in a stored procedure? That we take a code, okay, we write some. So basically, let's say we have this SQL code, okay. This SQL code which you generally write. So what we do, we keep this code into a wrapper, you can say, or you can say into container, or you can say anything which is called a stored procedure. Okay. Now what happens here is that you every time you don't need to run the SQL query again. You just call this stored procedure with the right way. So you set up some variables, parameters, which this just like it, you create a this is not a function, but just assume, just like you do Python function, right? You create a function, any function takes some input, right? It takes an input and it returns you something. Okay. So stored procedure also does that, that whatever code you have written, you will store inside this stored procedure. Now you will call this stored procedure every time. Whenever you call this stored procedure, it will run the query which is inside the stored procedure. Okay. And whatever the output of that is, what changes happen, reflection, everything happens, you can check in the database. Okay. But running a stored procedure will not give you any table, or it will not return you anything. But whatever query you have written inside this, it will execute whatever changes were supposed to happen because of that SQL query, they will happen. Okay. Yeah. We need to deploy. No, you don't need to like I mean, deployment is different. You that's don't go there. I mean, in general, when you create pipelines, right there, it is used a lot. Okay. So now, so what does stored procedure mean? And technically, you will take your SQL query, you will put it inside a wrapper, which is called a stored procedure. And now every time you call a stored procedure, that SQL query inside that will be executed. And whatever changes were supposed, let's say you have written a SQL query, select distinct employees from this, and it will automatically happen. Okay. Is it clear, guys? Anyone, any doubt in theoretical concept of this?
How does it efficient? I mean, what is happening in stored procedure actually? How does it helps?
So how does it happen that every time you call a stored procedure, you do not set up a connection, you call everything from cache memory.
Okay, so while creating the stored procedure, the query gets stored in cache memory, so that if we call that stored procedure, it will give the output. Is that something like that?
Yes. So whenever you call the stored procedure, it will give you the output from cache memory. Okay.
Okay.
And
Okay.
you will not be required. So whenever you run it first time, yes, it will execute from here. But once that stored procedure has executed, it will store every result in a cache memory. And now when you keep on executing, it will retrieve result from a cache memory. Okay. So that's how
Then we
it is.
don't need it means some server or something like
No, sir. Why don't you need a server? Where is your cache memory stored? It is stored in server only, right?
So if server is in the place, like if we need the server, then how will this work? Like it is going to cost a lot.
No, in server you'll be allocated a space there. Now you don't need to start the connection again and again, right? Starting a connection, running a query will always be required. This cache memory needs to be stored somewhere, right? I mean, whether on your system or the server where you are running it. But the thing is that you don't need to set up connection again and again. Start this connection, setting up connection, running a query, automatically it takes some memory. You are avoiding that memory. You are simply using cache memory. That's the difference.
So whenever we write stored procedure, then only it will store in cache memory. Up until if not, then it will not store.
I mean, you will not be able to call even if your query is stored. You will have to write the query once again, right? Yeah, and it will not be calling from cache memory then.
Okay.
To call from cache memory, you need to use stored procedure. Just by writing a SQL query, you will not be able to call from cache memory. You will be calling from directly here.
From the main database only.
So in case of large data, like we were speaking, like for the optimization. So for large data also, like when we are using stored procedures, so for that millions of rows of data also, it will be using the cache memory and not be hitting the DB server, right?
Yes. Again, there are more
Okay.
optimization techniques when you start using big data, right? But yeah, I mean, you can use memory there. You can use cache memory there.
How efficient is the stored procedure when the database gets updated like regularly?
Sorry?
How efficient is to use the stored procedure
It is efficient. I told you,
when
na, if you
no,
start using
like
stored
when the databases get updated like frequently?
when database keeps getting updated frequently,
Yes.
then it's not. No? If you're entering a new data every time, then you
Yeah.
have to enter
Execute the
the
query only, right?
yeah. So thing is that listen like the listen like this. Whenever you're entering a new data, think like this. You will have a format stored here. Blueprint will be stored here. For example, right? Let's say select for example, insert values into whatever. You will just replace those placeholder which we were discussing, right?
Okay.
So you are not nothing
Okay.
like this. You are not retrieving any data when you're inserting any value.
Okay.
You're just using a format template and entering it. So that does not change your performance much because you're not retrieving it. You're just inserting one row.
Okay.
Anyone? Any other doubt? Are you guys clear?
Yes.
So this is the concept of using stored procedure. Now I will show you the syntax of a stored procedure, and we will run some commands, and that's it. Okay. Okay. So let's understand the syntax of a stored procedure. So what are the first of all key characteristics? The first thing is that it stores information in cache memory. Second, easy to for example, it is easy to you can say write run uh, redundant queries. Okay, suppose there's a big query like a lot of big 1000 2000 pieces of code, and you have to make at least 500 changes every time you run a code, right? So I mean it becomes very error prone. So it's better to write stored procedure there because you will just need to declare some variables. Have you guys studied about okay, uh, I'm not sure if you guys have done SAS. In SAS also this concept is there, but yeah. So it's easy to run redundant queries. So main is this only that these two methods help you run the performance. They help you improve the performance. Okay. Now let's study about the syntax of a stored procedure. That how does the syntax look like, and then we will start executing. So the syntax looks like this. So what you will do, you'll say create or replace. Okay, then you'll write the keyword procedure. Okay, you can write procedure, and then you have to give the name to that procedure. Let's say the name is ABC. Okay, after this, once you give a name, so you have to give some parameters. So here you will write down some parameters. Okay. And once you've written some parameters, this is done. Then you have to write down, let's say, which language you are using. Now, basically, I'm using PostgreSQL. So the language for PostgreSQL is procedural, means PL. Okay. PG means Postgres, PL, PG, and it means SQL. Okay. Procedural, PostgreSQL, PG, SQL. As you have to put $2 sign. This is the syntax basically. So you can simply say this. Now, just like this is the start, the ending of stored procedure also need to be like this only, from $2 sign. So this is the syntax, a major syntax of a stored procedure. If you write down a create or replace procedure, you write down the name, pass the parameters here, and then you select the language. Okay. Once you have done this, then you have to write down few things below this. Okay. The first thing you will write down is a begin command. So there is a begin command and there will be an end command. Okay. And whatever thing you write the query, it will come inside this. So basically you will write down an execute command to execute your SQL query. Execute. Okay. And there are multiple methods, so I'll be using format method to execute this query, and that's it. Okay. So your SQL query will come here. This is the syntax of a stored procedure. It looks daunting initially, but let me tell you, this part by default, whenever you create anything, you have to define its name, right? So keep it like. Second, the language, whichever SQL language. So this too is pretty easy to remember. Main thing is to remember that this $sign needs to be there before and end, and this begin and end should also be there, and this execute command needs to be there, right? Execute means, and whatever query you are writing will come here. Okay, this will be the whatever SQL query you are writing, comma, let's say your variables, whatever you are passing, okay, they will come here. So this is the structure of a stored procedure. Okay.
So
Anyone, any
in
doubt?
this, yeah, so in this execute format, in this bracket, we will write our normal SQL query. So whether it is with like
Yeah.
subquery, joins, etc., etc.
Yes. 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 Okay.
Okay, and this replace procedure ABC into bracket parameters. So what is this parameters, like
Let me tell you.
columns or what?
Let me. So there come. So basically, suppose thing is like select star from employees, where let's say you say ID equal to some. Let's say customer ID. Let's say employee ID is something. Now you want to uh, pass a. You don't want to pass a static value like this, correct? Because it will become static for one scenario. What you want to do, you want to pass a dynamic variable. Okay. So there will be some variable. Dynamic, you can some, you can say percentage, some dynamic variable will be there. Okay. Variable.
So basically, parameterization of data, you want to take.
Yeah, where ID is equal to some parameter. Now whenever you call this stored procedure, let's say we created this ABC, so now whenever you have to run this query with a new, you simply call this parameter and just pass. For example, let's say 23. So what will happen, this 23 will go and replace this parameter and it will make ID 23. Okay. So instead of writing the whole query, you are simply running this command. Now you still call ABC, let's say you run 12, call ABC, you run 10.
Is it working like function?
Yeah, exactly, function. Just that it is not function, because function are different in SQL as well. Function, the difference between function and a procedure language, like stored procedure, is that functions return something. Stored procedures do not return anything.
It will not give any output.
So once you run this, it will just show query executed. You will have to go and check that whatever the output was.
I think there is a different command to check that, maybe.
There is something exec, execute, something like that is there. But that is separate. So yeah, so we'll see some examples.
It's working like as a function, but it will not give an output.
Yeah,
Function is
it is
different.
working like a function, but it will not give you some output. You'll have to go and check that. So if your SQL query is correct by default, right, then it means everything is working fine. Anyone, any doubt?
If we give any multiple there, we need to give every time like a call.
So you need to decide. For example, now thing is that suppose you have a query like this: select star from employee, let's say, where ID equal to and name equal to and department equal to, let's say you have three variables. Okay, it is not mandatory to make all of them dynamic. Okay, it's up to you what part you want to make dynamic. Whatever part you want to make dynamic or parameterize, you will just do that. Rest all you will just simply pass a static filter. Okay, let's say you want to select all the names one by one for people in the HR department, something like that you want to do, right? So you can keep those filters as such, the original filters. Rest you can parameterize.
So whatever static will static, and then whatever the in parameter, it will give the parameter value.
Yes.
And static filters along with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Now what will happen, what information will be stored in cache memory is that whatever the static variables are there, static filters are there, based on those, whatever the data is there, it will be stored in cache memory. Okay, and from that, if you keep on changing values, it will pick the values from the cache memory, start giving you, right? So for what I mean by this is that, let's say this is the data which you got from cache memory, which you let's say after running this data you got from the static memory. Okay, now every time suppose you run a stored procedure, you keep on changing book ID. So this data is stored in cache memory. Now it will keep on giving, suppose you select, let's say, title this, so it will pick this from the cache memory and it will give you, it will pick this from the cache memory and it will give you. Okay, so whatever the thing, the overall, the bigger filters are there, static filters, it will take the data and put in a stored like cache memory, and it will start giving information from there. Is it clear?
Whenever we run normal SQL queries, like any retrieving, okay, that will not be stored in cache memory, it will just a one-time,
Just
execute.
one-time execution.
Okay. So in stored procedure, it's getting it's getting stored. That's why it is fast and it is optimized.
Yes.
Because it's retrieving from that, cache memory.
Yes.
Got it.
And another thing now here, like we said, it is going to be parameterized. Now suppose today we want the results for department equal to HR. There might be hundreds of departments, so I'm not getting like how the department, how dynamically we can change the department, because that part I am
That you have to
not
determine.
getting.
If you think department will change continuously, you will not put it static, you will put it as a variable.
Yeah, as a variable, but how are we going to call that variable? I'm not able to visualize, sorry.
You just simply do call your procedure ABC and just pass the department name. Let's say HR.
But here we are passing the department name, right?
Yeah. So department name will go here.
Yeah, right. But like, no, I mean to say that here we have said like department equal to whatever the parameter is, and that parameterized whatever value we want, we are passing it from here. So every time if we want a different department, then we'll have to say call ABC HR, call ABC
Yeah, you will have to do
accounting,
that.
call ABC IT, like that.
Yes, yes.
So how many times we are going to do this?
Depends how many times you need to execute.
But it is better than, writing that queries again and again and
You are
filtering.
just thinking this stored procedure are not used for just one query. Remember, for one small query, they are mainly used for when you are handling big queries. I mean, big codes, 1,000 line, 2,000 line of codes. There you cannot go and keep on changing things. It's better to just call things from here. Just write down one command, just pass on the variable name and just run the code.
So, like, if there are like, it's hypothetical, I know. If there are like 200 or 500, 600 variables, like
Thing is
which
that you
are
do not
changing
change 600
in
variables.
address, for example,
You do not
address.
change 200 variables at once in a code. Generally, you don't change that, first of all. Okay. You
Yeah,
generally change 5 to 6 variables only.
yeah, that is
You
what.
you have to write a generalized code. Like if you have to change like 200 codes variables, just imagine you don't know. That's, I mean, practically that does not happen. And generally, when you write down, you only change 5 to 6 variables, and those you can
Yes,
pass here.
Yes, I got that. But like in this like stored procedure, generally how it is, like we are doing it only for like these limited number of
You
things,
can
or
pass as many parameters as you want. You can pass 200 as well. I'm not denying that. You can pass 200 variables as well. But then your code is not efficient. It's better to update your code rather than passing 200 variables.
oh, okay. In the code we have to handle that instead of in the database query. You're saying.
Yes. Yes. Update your code so that it
Okay,
only
yeah, got it. Yeah,
takes the minimum number of parameters and gives you the result.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Anyone, any doubt?
So in a nutshell, the stored procedure is like the automation kind of running the daily same scripts. Instead of that, calling out these, and it will run that
So
whole
what happens? Suppose you
query.
have let's say you have a report. Let's say you have a sales report. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
sales report. Let's say the report is of 5,000 lines. Okay.
Okay.
Now the code logic, everything you every morning you come to office and you have to just run that report, take the data, put in a dashboard. Right. That's what you need to do. Now you will not go to 5,000 lines. Suppose there are few. You just need to update the date. Let's say tomorrow. Today is what? Today is
I just
26.
want today's date or
Like
like
January 26, right? So tomorrow is Jan 27. Suppose you go to office tomorrow morning, okay? You will not go to the code, check
and
all
change
the
that date.
lines and change date everywhere. You will simply say call
I'll change the parameter.
let's say sales report, okay? Just pass the parameter Jan 27. That's it, and you will just execute it. Now once you execute it, your whole report will get automatically executed.
Okay.
Is the use case clear to everyone? Anyone, any doubt? So the importance of stored procedure is used in basically automation. It's used a lot when you have to run. Let's say you have to run multiple scripts parallelly, one after one. Let's say script one followed by script two followed by script three, and you have to put that in an automation mode. Okay, let's say you have to automate everything. So you don't. So what will you do? You will write down a code like this that execute. So let's say this script, you will create a new script with name as n equal to this. You'll put down a code which will in which you will mention execute. Let's say so basically you'll use a trigger. Trigger is basically, let me just tell you what trigger means. Whenever there is any change in your code anywhere, it will execute some command. So what you're going to do technically is that you have taken these three scripts, okay, which can be called using a stored procedure. Now every morning what happens that whenever the current date changes, whenever the current date changes, you'll put a trigger that whenever there is a change in current date, execute this script n. Now this script n will be executed first s1, then s2, then s3, right? So automatically every day the moment date changes, these three scripts will automatically run, right? You will not need to do anything. Is it clear?
So like manually entering the part of date
Yeah.
that is also can be
Automatically,
automated by
like
the
things are
trigger.
running at the back end on their own, because you put a condition. The moment there is a change in date, execute this command. Okay. So tomorrow when from Jan 27 to Jan 28 occurs, automatically at midnight 12, this this code will automatically execute. Clear, guys? Anyone, any doubt? Okay. So now let's see how to write down this stored procedure. So we'll use let's say, so let me create a I will say a table. Okay. So let's say create a table. So let's create table EMP. So let's call it employee underscore ID, which will be my int and which will be my primary key. Okay. Then I will have let's call it employee underscore name, which will be varchar. Let's call it 30. Okay. Then I will have employee underscore department, which is again a varchar. Let's call it 50. Okay. Then we will have a, let's say, employee underscore salary, okay, which is numeric. Okay. And let's say we have employee underscore joining underscore date, and let's call it this a date. Okay. So let's say I created this table. Now let's run this. Let's see if it runs. Now insert some values to this. For example, let's say by default, let's insert one value to this. Insert into EMP. So I'll call it EMP underscore ID. I'll say EMP underscore name, call EMP underscore department, and I will call EMP underscore salary, EMP underscore joining. Okay, I'll say values. So let's give it some values. Let's say employee ID is 1. Employee name is, for example, A. Department, let's call it HR. Employee salary, let's say 10,000. Employee joining date, right? So joining date we can let's call it 2025 01 26. Okay. So let's say this is the data we are having. I'll run it. Select star from EMP. So this is the data that I'm having right now. Okay. I have some data, EMP name, which is a varchar, EMP department, and like we have things. Suppose I want to create a stored procedure. So to insert values. So my task is to create a stored procedure to insert values in the table. Let's say this is my task. Okay. So let's see how to create that. So first of all, what will we write? We'll write create or replace procedure. Okay. What do you have to do? You have to write down a name. Let's call it add employee. Okay. Then remember we have to give some parameters here. I'll talk about parameters soon. Okay. Parameters. Then what I need to write? Tell me after this.
Begin.
Database
Language.
Oh yeah.
Procedural PostgreSQL. Okay. This is it. As $. Okay. So there needs to be a dollar at the end as well. So I'll start. मैं start से इसको रख दूंगा. I know that if there is a dollar start, there needs to be a dollar end. And what else need to be there? There needs to be a begin command, and there needs to be an end command. Right? This much we knew. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now I will write down a query inside this.
Bro, is there any default like with this? We need to write every time like this.
What?
Like a create and everything. Create and replace the procedure.
What else you want?
It's any automatic is there.
What we're doing automation now already. What more automation you want?
all this query,
Which query?
like procedure query, bro.
यार एक बार तो लिखना पड़ेगा ना, बिना लिखे कैसे होगा?
Okay.
आपको ऑटोमेशन का भी ऑटोमेशन चाहिए, वो तो भी नहीं है, मतलब कुछ तो लिखोगे, सब कुछ थोड़ी हो जाएगा। आपकी सोचा कोड अपने आप लिख लिया। You have to create something somewhere, right? Are you getting my point?
Yes, bro.
Don't be that lazy. Some कुछ तो लिखना पड़ेगा ना. So now again I'll come to formatting values later, but let's see how does it run. First of all, you will write down your SQL query here inside. So you will say, right now I'm not passing any parameter, maybe, right? Or maybe let's say I will pass it. Let's say. So what is going to happen is I'll write down command insert into, okay, what is my table name? EMP. Okay. What all variables I need to enter? I need to enter all these which I created here. Okay, so I'll put them here. Then comes values. Okay. Now these values, remember, which you are passing, they need to come dynamically, right? Because you cannot pass employee 1 here, B here. Are you getting my point? So these value, if they have to come here, you need to pass here as parameter. Okay. Now you have given all these. Okay. So you have to write corresponding values here as well. So what will you do? For example, EMP ID, you need to add a variable here, EMP ID. It can be different from this. You can simply create ID as well, but EMP underscore ID you will create here. You'll create EMP underscore name. You'll create EMP underscore department. EMP underscore salary. Remember, this name need not to be same this one. I'm just keeping it same for right now. I will do another example where I will change the name. This name should match here, because this parameter which you are going to insert here are going in this, are not going in this. Okay, they will come from here to here, and then from here they will come here. Okay, that is the key thing. Mention employee underscore joining underscore date. Okay, so this is the procedure created. Now what you will do, because I have used the same name, I'll just pass things here. So what is happening here now, try to understand, is that these things are mapped. What I mean by mapped is that this procedure, this stored procedure, is taking these variables as inputs. It is passing these inputs into these values, and these values are then getting executed. They are basically getting inserted. Okay, so this is how you just created a stored procedure. Okay, any doubt, anyone? There is one more method of using formatting and passing the variables, but that I will do after this. But first of all, tell me, any doubt in this one?
So the sequence is like insert into EMP, whatever the sequence, like first is employee ID, name, this, like this, and values. So same sequence, they have to go into the values bracket.
Yes, so basically whatever the sequence is there, that sequence needs to be followed here, but variable name can be different. For example, it can be just ID. So but whatever variable name is here should be here. Okay, did you get my point?
Okay, so okay. So if I give only instead of EMP underscore name some other thing, then that needs to be here in the values bracket.
So whatever, suppose you are using this name needs to be updated here. Okay,
Okay.
here you need not to, because this is mapped with the parameters. This is not mapped, this is mapped with this. So this will just take the values in this order. Okay, it
Okay.
is not linked with the name, it is linked with the order in which things are present here.
Okay.
Clear?
here.
So what will I do? I will now run the procedure. Let's see if it runs. Employee ID does not exist. Where am I entering this? What is the table that I created? Select star from EMP. Okay. Add employee. Insert into EMP underscore ID. Wait a second. So this value.
Bro, after the procedure is add employee ID.
Where?
Create or replace is they're the same.
So
Nothing.
I'm just checking if I have entered anything incorrectly. Create or replace procedure. Type employee ID does not exist. Where is type? Employee.
No, we need to give a placeholders, right?
It will for these things it directly come. I'm just thinking it's not required here. Placeholders. Anyways, we will give the placeholders. So we'll give these placeholders here. Now let's see. No, it's not type employee. Am I entering in the wrong table? I'm just thinking.
Can you scroll up? There is one create or replace.
Data type we need to give.
Data type is it is not required. It is not mandatory.
No, but
Procedure.
EMP ID, what will be the
I can
placeholders?
try. Let's try to put that, but it is not mandatory. Maybe it will take. Let's see. Okay. So I will define the data type. Let's say int. Let's say this is int, right? This is not required. This much I know. Okay. This is not required at this stage. Employee name, we can call it varchar. Let's say. Oh, the problem is. Yeah.
The table is.
So the varchar 30, right, which we created here. I'm just trying to enter everything. This is the variable, right? Let's enter everything with types. Maybe it will take. Okay. So this is same. So this is a table that we created EMP. I'm using the same format using type and I'm passing it here. Okay. Now let's check if it runs. This does not need a primary key because we are not creating a table. Syntax near at end. At end. Oh, I didn't close this. Sorry. Thank God.
You use bro. You need to take again, and after and also you have given
What?
the semicolon.
Semicolon needs to be after. Whenever you write a query, you write a semicolon, right? So this semicolon is for this query. After end, this is for this begin. Okay.
Okay, fine.
So this procedure is created now. Okay. If you see this procedure is created now, let me put in chat box in case we miss something. We'll get it from there. Okay. Now let's come here. Now let's try to enter values. So let's see how many values are there in my code. So I have one row. Okay. Now instead of running this command insert into, what I will do, I'll say call. What is my name of procedure? Add employee. Okay. Now I need to add the value that I pass in this. Remember, these are the parameters that it requires. So I need to pass everything. So let's call it this employee ID is 2, employee name as B. Okay. Employee department, let's call it finance. Okay. Employee department, employee salary, let's say 20,000. Employee joining date, let's call it 2025-01. It's 19. Okay. So there were how many parameters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've entered 5 parameters, right? Now I will simply run this call command with this variable. Once I run this, it returns successfully. Now what should happen? There should be a row in my table EMP. Agreed? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Now let's see. There's a row in my table. Okay. So now let's run more command. Let's say I have to insert more statements. I'll simply call this. I'll make it 3. I'll see. Okay, that's it. Let's say other details remain same. Okay. Run this. Now execute your command. Okay. Now things will be now the C employee will also come in your table. Okay. So this is how your stored procedure is executed. Remember, whenever you're running it, it is not giving you a table. You have to go and check that separately. Okay.
Right.
Any doubt, anyone? There's just one more method to do this, which I'll explain. Then I think the class is over. So just give me like 10 more minutes. Yeah. Anyone? Any doubt? It's fine. Syntax देखो यार मेरे को भी नहीं आता था, to be honest. मैं भी भूल जाता हूँ. It's fine. You should syntax के लिए you can use Google ChatGPT. You should know what to put, where to put, like what is the main objective, right? So because these procedurals you just write once. Okay. So it's fine. If you don't remember syntax, that's totally fine. But just try to understand that what is happening in this syntax, that you need to know that, okay, this parameter will be passed here and this will further be passed here. So these two names should be same and these two can be different. Any doubt, anyone?
No.
Okay. Now let's create one more stored procedure where I am retrieving values. So right now we inserted some values, right? Now let's retrieve some values from, let's say, my table. So let's say I had this table select star from employees. Let me do that. Select star from employees or employee. I don't know what it was. Let's check it. Employee. Okay. So suppose I want to retrieve employee detail based on department. Let's say I want to run different stored procedure. So what will I do? I'll copy this whole stored procedure command. Okay. Let's come here. Let's create a new stored procedure. So let's change its name to retrieve. Okay. Retrieve employee. Let's call this name as retrieve employee. I'll redefine the parameter names, what I need to do. Okay. First, let's create a base structure of our procedural. This is right. This insert command will go because I don't need this. Okay. Now, so this is the structure of my, I'll say blueprint of my whatever SQL is there. Now what you can do, there's another method. Remember I told you can also use execute. So you will say execute and then you will execute a SQL query. For that you need to use another keyword that is called format. In what for? So basically when you want to, remember, when you want to pass filters on right now, we'll write a query, we will pass only few parameters will pass, few parameters will keep static, like some will be static, some will be dynamic, right? For that you need to use this format method. Okay. Now inside this you will write your SQL query. I'll show you how to write down. So first of all, what you will say, you will say, let's say, now remember this is a string, what is going inside. So you need to write down this. So you will say select star from employee. Okay. Where, so let's there are 3 variables: department, okay, equal to something, and let's say salary something. Okay. Now Suppose you want to keep both dynamic. Okay, so you cannot simply pass the HR value here or anything. You need to pass a parameter one here. Okay, and salary. Suppose you want salary to be, let's say, greater than or less than or greater than equal to, maybe greater than equal to or equal to some number, correct? Some number, let's say number is 2000, right? So what all parameters do I need? I need one parameter here where I will change the department value. One parameter for this symbol. Which symbol do I want to use? Whether I want less, greater, equal to, or whatever. And one parameter for this value. Agreed? Yes or no?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Now there are few methods on which how you can pass parameters. So one method is like this is called percentage L. It means literal value. So what it does that whenever you're passing a filter, be it numeric or character, okay, it is mostly used for character, but it does for numeric as well. Okay, so instead of passing this value, you will simply write down percentage L. Okay, what it will do now that whenever in the parameter where you're passing, you give some value, it will replace this percentage L with that value. How it will replace, I will tell you. Okay, now one is this. Okay, second is percentage S. S means string or special characters. String, or sometimes it's used for special characters as well. Special characters as well. So this part which you see, this is a special character. So what you will do, you will replace, because you don't know which thing is coming, you will replace this by percentage S. Okay, percentage S का मतलब होता है कि it will be replaced with some string characters. Okay, then there is a number, numeric. You can choose either percentage L, because for numeric use generally by default use percentage L only. Okay, but you can also use percentage D is also there. Okay, which is used for digit. I am going to use percentage L only, but you can use percentage D as well. It's up to you. D, or you can use percent. Remember, percentage D is used for only digits. L is used for any. It could be numeric, it could be a character. Okay. And one more thing. These filters you need here. What if you want to change something in column name? Suppose you want to dynamically pass the column name on which you want to pass. There you use the percentage I. Okay, I will show you with example. So these four you will need to remember that. Okay, what does, so right now by default start using percentage L only for any numeric or character. Okay, percentage S for any special character. If you see, if you
Bro,
want, yeah,
this is for only for this database only, or we can use for MySQL or other databases
MySQL
also.
as well, you can check that. Okay,
Okay.
it will be there. Okay, now let's see how to use it. So remember I told you, for department, instead of passing the value, we'll pass the percentage L. For salary, we'll say percentage S. And what will you do here for 2000?
Percentage L.
We'll say percentage L. Okay, or you can say percentage D. It's up to you. Okay,
I mean, both will go, no? Either L or either
you
D.
can choose any. But remember, when you use percentage D, you cannot pass as character. Remember that. Okay.
Okay.
So when you use percentage L, it will automatically convert it into a, let's say, even if you pass it as a character, it will convert it into a number, something
It
like
will
that.
take both numeric or character.
Yes, yes. So by default, start. I mean, just to be clear, either use percentage L or use percentage S for special character, percentage L for numeric or character values. Okay. Any doubt, anyone?
So what is execute format is doing here?
Execute will basically, I'll tell you. Now you have given placeholders, correct? Now you want to pass those some parameters which will actually go and fit in into this. Right?
Yes.
So execute command will do that. What it will do, right now you have just created the placeholders. Now you need to pass the values as well. So values will
It is
come.
like string formatting in Python, something like that.
Yes, yes, it is like that, string formatting in Python. So now remember, the way in which you move from left to right here, in which this placeholders are coming, in the exact format you need to write those values here. So what do you mean to say? First you see department, second you see the comparison operator, third you see the salary threshold. So the first parameter needs to be what? Department name, correct? Second
Yes.
parameter needs to be what? Comparison operator. Third needs to be salary threshold. Agreed? Yes or no?
Yes, yes, yes.
Now, where is this? Remember, you cannot do like comparison operator at first. Remember, this order should be the same as you are passing things here. Okay. Now, you need to get these values from here, because eventually, whenever you call a stored procedure, you pass parameters. So this procedure should take 3 parameters. Okay. The first will be department underscore name. Okay. So let's call it varchar. So what was it? Varchar. Is it department name or what? Department. Okay. Also remember this name that you're creating here, it need not to match with the column names. That is important. This is, you can define, just like in Python function, you can define any variable name, right? Just similarly, you can define any variable name of your choice. Okay. So this is department, and right now I'm keeping it just to avoid clarity, to have some clarity. Let's call it department. Varchar. And what is the varchar? This is 50, as it is given into that. What should be the next one? Comparison operator. Comparison. Okay. So we can call it comparison operator is it is a string basically. You can call it varchar. Okay. And the third is your salary threshold. Salary threshold. So that needs to be an integer, or you can call it numeric, depending upon whatever you want. Salary numeric here, so you will just simply call it numeric 10,2. Okay, because it is numeric 10,2 here. So what you did, you created these parameters here, and you named this. This should be the exact same name. So replace this with department. Okay. Comparison name same, salary threshold name same. Okay. Now this your stored procedure is created. Any doubt, anyone? What is happening? Just look at this code once and let me know.
For selecting column name.
Yeah, every percentage I will tell you. First, let me run this. I will tell you.
Okay.
Anyone, any doubt?
Bro, semicolon after
With semicolon.
threshold after
Query. Yeah.
query. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks. Anyone, any doubt before I move ahead? Tell me.
Yeah.
Comparison operator cannot be int.
Where is int? Where I mentioned as int?
In create to replace procedure, you mentioned comparison varchar. So I'm thinking that
comparison is string. Comparison क्या होता है? Comparison ये होता है ना, greater than, less than. So
yes.
this is not an this is not an integer. Okay. Clear?
This and salary as percent S percent L. तो यहाँ पे अगर the like here see we have written 3, right? Department, comparison, comma, salary threshold. So ऊपर also like how salary in front of salary only we have given percentage %L, so that will work like this.
Where?
Here in this under execute we have written the select star from employee, right?
Yeah.
So in this department, so first parameter is department, which is a %L, which will
Which will
work
take
for a
as a character value.
string. Yeah, yeah. And so in the between, I'm confused. Like this comparison, it should be %S, right? So do we need to mention? I'm asking, we need to mention or not that in that?
तो परसेंटेज ऐसे ही तो लिखा है मैंने, और क्या लिखा?
No. I'm saying percentages is right, but do we need to write comparison or something like over here?
How you need to pass a value to this parameter. How will you pass a value to this parameter without a name?
No, I get it. This %S, I get it. But like I'm saying, how we have described it, department equal to %L, and
She's
and
asking the field. Field. She's saying the field.
yeah.
Which
Field.
field? I'm not getting. I'm not getting.
No, see here you wrote where department equal to percentage L, right? In the same
Yes.
way, and salary, you are writing here salary, right? She's asking the salary threshold supposed to be here, right? She's asking. Am I
The
correct?
salary threshold is this now.
No, she's asking the field name we're supposed to mention here or not.
Yeah.
Which field name? I'm not getting that. Which field name are you
The
asking?
comparison the comparison one.
So
What you
this
have written down?
comparison is this right ना? यही तो है ये. क्या इसमें क्या problem है? मैं समझ नहीं आ रहा.
No, not. Okay, I got it.
What did you get it? That tell me first.
Actually, she is saying like need to be mentioned as a comparison
Yeah.
word under the above. Yeah, like you said, percentage S must be comparison like that. Something I don't know exactly, but
No, but
Yeah.
mention मैं समझा नहीं, मतलब वो तो हमें define name तो we can name it. I can call it name A. उससे क्या फर्क
Yeah,
पड़ता है?
you can call it name A. That's not the thing. I don't know how to explain that, but here how we have written where department equal to %L, and that will correspond to the department thing from here, correct?
Yes.
So similarly, similarly for comparison, which will represent this %S. But do we need to write it as where comparison equal to %S like that?
No, you don't.
Or am I
You're
being wrong or
confused.
something?
Here, what is the comparison operator?
Equal to.
So we are passing it as static value. Here, I'm not passing comparison operator as static.
Yeah, okay.
Here, comparison operator will keep on changing, na? Comparison, it could be salary.
It could be greater, less,
Greater than
equal to,
salary,
greater
less
than, equal
than.
to.
It could be salary equal to.
Okay. I was just confused with that whether we have to give the wording like that, like
No,
that.
this equal to, यहाँ पे भी मैं percentage s डाल सकता हूँ. But वो तो I'm just keeping because department name I want to fix. But salary can keep on changing, na? So department may equal to makes sense, but salary can be less than, greater than. So that's why I passed a percentage.
Yeah, I got it now. Got it clear now. Yeah.
I too got, bro.
Okay. Okay, good. So now let's run this. Okay, everyone is clear with this? Okay, now let's execute this command. अब कहाँ पे error आ गया? अच्छा, query के बाद तो डालना पड़ेगा ना? Missed match parenthesis or at near.
Comma is record at lost after percentage here.
Wait a second. First of all, it needs to be. It should not be here. This is being passed as a string, so there need not to be any. Yeah. Where is this dollar?
After the parenthesis, ending parenthesis.
Yeah. After and yeah, this needs to be there. Yes. Okay. So I have created the procedure. Now let's call this procedure. Call retrieve employee. Remember, it will not return you anything. Remember this. Okay. So what is the first variable that I need to pass?
Department.
Department.
So I'll call it HR. Okay. Now, what is second parameter I need to pass?
Special character.
So I'll say, let's say salary greater than. Third, let's say 5,000. Okay. So simply call this. It will execute in the backend. You will not be able to see the result. Okay. If there is an error in the code, you will automatically see. Anyone, any doubt?
Make error, bro.
What kind of error you want me to do? So let's do one thing. Let's call it. Let's make it. Let's यहाँ पे एक integer pass कर देते हैं. ठीक है? It gave me an error, right? Is it clear?
Yes.
So let's do one thing. यहाँ पे let's call it HR. Let's run this. Just checking. If it is giving any output. In some SQL server, it gives it in logs. I'm just checking if there is any log generated. Sometimes you can see those results in log, but I don't see it here. Just let me.
Sir, what is log?
Like whatever query you run ना उसका result आता रहता है. Generate log and post. Let me just confirm. PostgreSQL. अच्छा सेटअप करना पड़ेगा वो भी मतलब अभी नहीं आएगा. So उससे क्या होता है कि whatever happens in the backend, right? Just like terminal in Python, right? Whatever happens in the backend, you can start seeing those results. Okay. But you'll get to know if your query is incorrect, you will get to know. I mean, it will throw some error always. So if your stored procedure is written correctly, it will execute. Otherwise, it will give error. Okay. So generally, क्या होता है कि you can how to see the result. Maybe you can pass the result, store in some temporary data, and then you can check that temporary data. वो सब कर सकते हैं. Like those things we can check in some other class. But this is how stored procedures are created. You just need to understand the concept. Syntax को पता होना चाहिए and कैसे लिखते हैं. Companies में you will see lot of codes which use stored procedure. Lot of codes. So you should not get confused what is happening. Okay. So that's it for today's class. Of course, this was the class that we did yesterday, but it's fine. Yeah. So let me know, guys, if you have any doubt.
Comparison string में है इसलिए वो उसको var कर लिया है ना?
Yes, comparison string. That's why it's a var.
Okay.
Just an update. I won't be able to take classes on next 2 weekends, so maybe I will take some class on weekday. I will let you know on whenever I'm available. We can have a class then. Okay.
Satvik, if you can let us know one day before, it will be helpful to plan the things.
What?
If you can inform us one day before, it will be
Yeah,
helpful
no,
for
I'll
us.
inform you at least 3-4 days in advance. Don't worry. I will not tell you.
Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah,
keep only in evening sections like 6 to something, 6 or 7.
नहीं रखूंगा यार. मैं 5 बजे तो उठना इतना आसान नहीं है मेरे लिए. But I'll try to keep it like 7 p.m. IST, something like that.
Okay.
So there is like 2 more classes remaining. One class is of stored process. Sorry, the remaining part of performance tuning. One class is of CTE. One class is of yeah, actually this week technically only one class happened, na? So that's why. So there are 3 classes remaining. Okay. अगर इसकी रिकॉर्डिंग नहीं आई तो मैं इसका वापस सेशन नहीं लूंगा मैं, ठीक है? तो मेक श्योर यू गाइस अंडरस्टूड एवरीथिंग.
One suggestion. So, in case this recording, if it goes bad or something, so whatever you have mentioned in the chat box, now the queries and in the whatever whiteboard, if the diagrams whatever you draw, then if you could put it in a WordPad and paste it in our shared drive, now then that will be just as a backup. We can refer to that. Means I'm just suggesting
This will
if
come.
that is possible.
इसकी recording आएगी, I'm sure.
Okay.
There was some setting problem, which मैंने नहीं किया था, but anyways, I will just store it. मैं अभी इसको यहाँ पे डाल लेता हूँ. I will just put it. Okay. In WordPad. Yeah. Yeah, guys. So thanks for joining. Let me know if you have any doubt. Otherwise, enjoy your week. Thank you. If someone has any doubt, please stay on the call. Otherwise, you can drop off.
Thank you, Satvik.
One thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, please.
What is the difference between transactional SQL and PLSQL, where it is used, and that is retrieving the data, fetching the data from the databases? What is that? It is transactional, or what is procedural? The stored procedure is procedural. I can understand from, like you mentioned, the PLSQL command while writing the queries, but I want to know the difference between these two.
Difference between
Transactional and PLSQL.
PLSQL is a SQL for Oracle. That's it. Okay. So, for example, I mean, we are using PostgreSQL. There's a MySQL. There's a Oracle SQL as well.
These are the different databases.
Yes. So,
Relational databases.
SQL is the SQL for Oracle. The thing is that I said weekday, not weekend. So now what is that? In that, the commands are little bit complicated, not complicated. Basically, for a regular SQL query, you write down a command like you created here. So a normal command in a Oracle PL SQL looks like this.
मतलब mostly similar to the other databases, it can be similar.
मतलब SQL query तो यहाँ पे आएगी. Remaining thing, so it is like stored procedure. वहाँ पे you write down queries in format of a stored procedure. So in PL SQL. So it's eventually it's SQL only, but for Oracle. Okay. And transaction T-SQL are basically they are SQL commands when you do some suppose you write some scripts and you write some transactional statements, right? Like a credit card transaction, fraud transaction, whatever transaction things you do, which keep on adding very frequently. They are called transactional commands. So there you use T-SQL. So T-SQL is just it's a sequence of operations. It is present in every database. T-SQL is present everywhere. Okay. And that is I think T-SQL is mostly by Microsoft, that as far as I know. But the concept of T-SQL is that it is used for adding transactions related data in your system. Okay, which keeps on adding every second, keeps on adding every millisecond. And if you use or a PL SQL, that is a SQL for Oracle. So that's the difference.
So those who are developing the databases, managing and administrating, they can use this transactional SQL while creating the databases and entering the records in order to maintain with the 1NF 2NF form of normalization.
Yes,
something
exactly.
Okay, so now we are fetching the data and everything like driving, performing analysis. So what kind of SQL is that? It's just like analytical.
It's just a procedural SQL which we are doing right now. And you can call it analytical SQL, procedural SQL, same.
Okay.
So we are doing like normal SQL. There's T-SQL, which is transactional SQL. There's PL SQL, which is Oracle SQL. Rest all are same. I mean, why we call PL SQL because separately, because the syntax of Oracle SQL is different, and transaction SQL, of course, is little bit just few more commands are there which you need to know.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you. If you're asked to write stored procedure from scratch for a system, develop it and write down a good SQL code and write down a stored procedure like this over it. That's it. First of all, you need to define the parameters, variables which you want to create in your code, how many dynamic parameters you will want to create, and then you write a stored procedure of it, just like I created here.
Is there any limit on how many dynamic
No
this?
limit. No limit.
Okay.
But think like this. I mean, if you are using 200 dynamic values, that's like not a good method.
Yeah, yeah, it's not. I mean, I'm just asking because if
No,
there can
I'm
be
saying
multiple, 4, 5.
you try to minimize the variables. Okay.
Uh,
You try to make
mm,
code as general as possible, right?
yeah.
So
So mostly things means as much as dynamic make it from the code so that we can handle less
yeah,
in SQL so that the performance gets optimized.
yes, exactly.
Right. Okay, got it. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anyone? Any other doubt? Okay. So thanks everyone. Enjoy. We'll see. I mean, I'm not available for 2 weeks now, but I'll try to conduct. I'll not try. I'll definitely conduct a session on weekday. I'll let you know. Okay. Thank you. It's my good morning. It's my 11 a.m. Okay. You guys, good night.